Hey, how are you?
Good. Hey, I follow you on YouTube, man. I'll be watching your videos. And also, I'll talk to you about the vegan. I'm finally vegan, man. I talked to you a couple weeks ago, I think, or months. So I appreciate that, man. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, that's good for you for changing and having courage to make the change.
Yeah,
Good for
man.
you.
And I'm watching your YouTube, so I'll stay tuned on those videos, man. Have a good one.
All right, thanks.
Hey, what's up, nerd? Hey, so why do you want people to go vegan and like make their life worse and give up and sacrifice when one person's choices don't really make a difference? So you want people to sacrifice, and what do they get in return? In 150 years, we'll be vegan. Wow, amazing.
Yeah, so there are many injustices in the world around us. Um, we make sacrifices all the time as people, right? Because we care for one another. And as a vegan, I, who cares about animals, not because, and for the same reasons you care about people, right? I care about people. Why? Because they're thinking, they're conscious, they're sentient. The same reasons I care about animals, because animals are also conscious and sentient and aware.
Right, but to you,
Right.
it's not even giving up that much of a thing, right? But for a lot of people, it is giving up a lot, right? Their dinners with the family, like
Right.
food that they want to eat, not choosing to read 1,000 labels to know what's vegan and not vegan. And people, that is a huge lifestyle change. If people are healthy, eating what they want,
At
they can
first,
live.
yes, I agree. At first, it's a big change. But guess what? After a while you get used to it. It's like learning a new language or learning something new and learning a new job. You get used to it after a while, right?
Yeah, but if you
At first that
sacrifice
might be
it, you
hard.
can never get it back. You're giving up something, and then you'll never get it again. If you're
Yeah, it's
omnivorous,
called
you can eat
morality.
whatever you
It's
want.
called ethics, right? Ethics is about caring for others, no matter what kind of sacrifice you have to make. Now, when it
What's your
comes to veganism, it is one of the smallest sacrifices you can make. You're simply eating another type of food, right?
right? But what my point is that that sacrifice you're making has zero impact. It's like going to the ocean, and every day I, as one person, puts a drop of poison. Is that morally bad for me to every single day into the ocean drop
Let's
of
let's
poison?
let's take
No.
this example for murder. There are thousands of murders that occur every day. If one person stopped murdering, does that make a big change?
No.
Exactly. Does that justify continuing to murder?
No, because this is completely different. You're talking about eating people versus killing
How is
people.
it
I mean,
different? How is it different?
killing people and eating animals.
What's the difference?
You're asking me the difference between why I value a person more than an animal?
Yeah, what's the reason that you get to kill animals but you cannot kill people? What's the difference?
Because they're not as important.
In what way?
And the fact that one cow, right, does not impact the world as much as one person at all.
Okay, how about a newborn baby? Does a newborn baby impact the world?
Of course, it will. It's going to be a person.
It will. How?
What do you mean by virtue of being a person?
So just because we're a person, all of a sudden we have value in the world, that we change the world in some way?
Compared to a cow, yes. We have a lot
Okay,
more
what's the
impact than a
difference?
cow.
What kind of potential does a cow not have, but a person does have?
A cow basically stays within a very short area where it lives its entire life eating the same like grass.
So do we. We also live in
No, we
houses
don't, dude.
where
We
we
go to the
eat the same
moon.
thing every day.
We create TVs, like we create cell phones. You're saying we are just like cows that stay in one place for their entire lives, and all they do is procreate. That's it. That's the entire life of a cow. Eat
Same
grass
with
and
us. All
fuck.
we do
No, it's
is
not, dude.
the same with us. Look at our lives. We stay in the same houses. We have sex with the same people, and that's it. We don't do much.
Would you say the same for a fish in a fish tank?
Yeah,
Oh, so your life is equal to a fish
it's
in a
not.
fish
I
tank's
never
life.
said it's equal.
You
But
said
you're
it just
saying that
you're
they're saying
comparing
that there are
people.
some people that just because you're a person, that means you have value. Well, how about a newborn baby? How about babies? How about
Yeah, they're a
disabled
person.
people? How about
Yeah, they're
disabled
people.
people who have no ability to make an iPhone or do these things? Does that mean we get to kill those people?
Even Helen Keller created a lot of inspiration for people. So yes, I would rather have Helen Keller and live with Helen Keller than a cow.
Okay, what if there was a person who was disabled who had the same ability, who had the same importance to society as a cow? Would that justify killing that person?
There's probably been like three people in the history of the there's three people living right now that have the same amount of value as a cow, and you're comparing that to every single person being the same as a cow. That's
In
crazy.
what way does a cow have more importance to the world, so much more than a person? I mean,
That's your point.
how does a person have so much more value to the world than a cow?
I mean, you just you get confused because you know I'm right, right? But because a person, I told you this. This was the first question you asked me, and I answered it because that person impacts the world more than a cow
In
who
what
doesn't.
way? Give an example.
Okay, you know how cows all they do is eat, sleep, and shit and procreate?
That's what we do.
No, it's not. You know what you're doing
Yes,
right
we
now?
do. We
You're
eat,
providing
we use
entertainment
the
to other
restroom, and we
people. A cow
procreate. That's
can
all we do.
you're a regular person, right? A regular cow cannot provide entertainment. A regular cow cannot make money off TikTok. A regular cow cannot like share
Okay.
thoughts.
Can it? Okay. Okay.
You
Can
know,
a baby make money off of TikTok?
it's gonna.
What if it doesn't? What if it can't? What if it's disabled and it can never do anything? Again, what if a person was disabled and could never attribute anything to society? Does that justify killing that person?
No, I would never kill a person. Why are you saying I'm justifying killing a person? Obviously not.
Okay, great. So then you agree that even though a person who never contributes anything to society, all they do is eat crap and do nothing, you would still never hurt them. But you hurt a cow. You abuse a cow.
Yes, because that's
Why?
every
Why?
cow, and that is not every person. That's like five people.
You're not you didn't understand the question. We are comparing each other individually. Individually, there's no morally relevant difference between a cow and a person. There's none.
There
Can you
certain
point out the difference?
there certainly is.
What's the difference?
A person is part of a different race that we are, right? So our morality is based on our own races. Obviously, we have that bias, but it doesn't mean it's a wrong bias to have. Just like you step on a bug, like literally
Oh, so
bugs,
you
bugs
agree that
also.
you have no valid reason. All you're saying is, I just like the way we are as people,
You asked
right?
about
Do you see
morality,
what
and
you're
I
doing
gave you the
here?
moral
All
reason.
you're saying is, I like humans, but I don't like cows because I get to eat them. That's all you're saying. You don't actually have a justification.
Okay, so now you're literally strawmanning because I just talked to you for like 10 minutes about all of the value we add, and then you say, no, 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 it's just because you like them more. No, 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 it's not just that I like
You
them. I
look,
gave you the reason why I
how
like
old are
them
you,
more.
by the way? How old are you?
What does that matter?
How old are you, sir?
Okay, I'm
It matters
29.
because you can't be here if you're too young.
Okay, well, I'm not too young.
Okay, are you above 18?
Yeah,
What year?
97. Holy crap, dude.
Okay.
You asked me 7 times the same question,
Well, I'm gonna make sure you're not
and
lying.
I answered it 5 times.
So, okay, great. So, do you agree that if there is a person who has the same capacity to contribute to society as a cow, they should still be able to live? Do you agree?
Yes, people, yeah.
Great. So then you agree with me that cows should not die, even though they have the same, even though no matter what the capacity they have for society.
Okay, I get it now. I know how to explain it to you.
Great.
So, you just asked, if they have the same value, how come they're not equal? Well, how about this? Value is one point, and race is another point, or species. So it's two things, right? The value and the species. That's my moral objectivity that I have.
Well, value has many different categories. There's multiple categories of value, right? Moral value, value, societal value, cultural value. Value, you have to be more elaborate as to what you mean by value. But when it comes to species, all you're saying now is, oh, I get to kill other animals because they have a tiny difference in our genetic material. All you're saying is the only thing that makes justifies me killing somebody is their genetic code. So what if somebody's genes were different from yours, that in which it would render them a different species? What if there was a species of humans who were a different color, who were gray skinned? Would that justify killing and murdering those people?
Obviously not for me. And I live in a society, right?
Oh,
And our
okay.
society has deemed it so that we are prioritizing our species over any other. It's not even close, right? Maybe dogs is the closest.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
I'm
You're
telling you,
being
it's two
biased
things:
here. See, look, you're
value,
being
species, and the social hierarchy that we all agree on. That is the morality. That is literally what morality is. That's why we consider murder immoral. In other countries, they don't. They sacrifice people just fine. So you're asking, what's the moral like behind it?
right. And I'm pointing
I told
out
you
your
three things now.
hypocrisy, right? Look, I understand this is your ethics, but the problem is there's a contradiction here because in one sense you're saying, "Oh, I don't like to harm other species." But then you're saying you do like to harm other species, right? Because you're saying, "Oh, no matter if that person was gray-skinned, I would that's my morality." But then
Yeah,
it
but
comes to another
it would be the
species,
human race.
when it comes to a cow, you get to say, yeah, I get to kill them, right? There's a contradiction. There's a fundamental problem in your ethical framework.
You misrepresented my
I'm
point. Of
consistent.
course, there's a
Look,
problem. You misunderstood.
listen very carefully here. I'm consistent in that I don't want to harm animals for the same reasons I don't want to harm people. It's the same reasons. So I'm being consistent. You're the one who's being inconsistent by giving some examples of, some reasons why you get to kill animals that don't apply to people.
I've been consistent this entire time. You know that consistent doesn't mean that everyone should live, right? All species. Consistent
Okay,
means you
let me
stick to
ask
your
you
guns.
this. Let me make it very clear for you now. Do you think that it's wrong always to kill a person just because they're a different species?
What do you mean? A person is the same species. There's no different species
No,
of person.
they are different species of people.
Okay, what species of person are
Neanderthals,
you?
Humbillas.
No, you're a human. I'm talking about humans.
Humans is
Homo
not a
sapien.
species.
Homo sapien.
It's
Okay,
a
goddamn.
category.
You know I'm talking about Homo sapien, which is what you are, which is where I am, which is what every
Okay.
person in the
So
world is.
what if there is a Homo sapien who is a bit different in their genetic code? They were completely the same as me. The only difference was that they were gray skinned, and that rendered them a different species. Would that justify killing that person?
Not for me, but that's a crazy like
E-
supposition. Dude,
exactly.
I could ask you the same
So
thing. What if aliens came and like brainwashed you and made you eat meat? Are you going to hell? Like, what kind of stupid question is if there were another species of human? That makes no
look,
sense. We're talking about cows and people.
you're making a complaint here for no good reason. My argument was very valid. You just conceded that you would never harm somebody even if they were a different species. But then you're saying that you get to kill another person, somebody else because they're different
I actually didn't
species
concede. If you
because it's
heard,
a
hold on,
cow.
hold on. If I said no, it was because it was as in no, I don't want to answer this question, and no, this is a dumb question, not as a no, as in I don't want to harm other species. Because you're asking me, hey, suppose we live in another alternate universe where another species of human, like, why are you talking about these like crazy
They're
analogies?
hypotheticals, right? These are called
Yeah, you
hypotheticals.
don't.
They're
I
used in
haven't
all
told you
logical
I
arguments.
haven't used a single hypothetical. And you know what? I'm still making sense.
Well, you're not making any logical sense here, right? You're making sense to yourself, but according to logic, you have invoked many contradictions in your own ethical worldview.
No, I haven't. I have stayed consistent, like you said, and I told you three things already. The
So let
value
me.
that humans add, the
I'll try
race
this
of
one more time for
humans,
you.
and what was it? The other one, like I don't remember. But those are not hypotheticals; those are facts, right? We're different species, and we have more impact than a cow
Okay, but I explained to you that if there was a person who had the same impact as a cow, you would still never harm them.
because they're a person, and we
Great.
are above other animals.
Great. So now you're the only reason you get to kill and abuse and sexually assault other beings is
What?
because they're a different species.
What?
Yeah. That's the only reason why you get to sexually abuse cows, right?
I don't do that stuff.
Yes, you do. Did you know that we forcibly impregnate cows to make milk for us?
Damn, you should quit that job if you do that.
Well, that's why I'm vegan because I don't support that. But you do. You do support graping of animals.
Oh, this actually brings me back to the first point. Not this weird topic you brought up, but similar, right?
No, no,
Let's
look,
say,
you're not addressing what I
hold on.
just told
No,
you,
yeah,
right?
I am. I just told
You
you
are
I am.
graping. Look, listen. Do you think it's
Can I talk?
wrong or okay to grape an animal?
No, I don't want to do that. So listen, let's say
Oh, but
how
they're
many
different
cows
species.
die in a
But they're
year, right?
different species.
Yeah, so I'm okay with killing them. I don't want to.
So
I
to
would
you,
kill a
so
cow. I
here's
wouldn't,
another
do that
contradiction.
to a
Look,
cow.
another contradiction.
No, it's not.
Now you're saying that you think it's wrong to harm an animal, even though they're different species. So now you have invoked multiple, more
Okay,
than two
can
contradictions
I
today.
explain it to you?
Go ahead.
So, in my world, you can kill a cow. In my world, you should not do that to a cow, like sexually, whatever,
Okay, so why do you get to kill a cow but not sexually assault it?
because I wouldn't want to do that.
So, okay, so you get to, so your ethics is dictated by what you want to do. So if you feel like raping somebody, you get to do it.
No,
So where's your ethical foundation, right? It seems to me that it's very flimsy. It's like built on a house of cards. It's built on glass.
you don't
My
need
ethical
to.
framework is way more solid, way more consistent.
Okay, you
Because in
don't.
actuality,
Okay.
my friend, there is no difference between us and animals. We are animals.
Can I explain?
And
Can we go back to
cows
this
and
topic?
pigs and
'Cause
chickens are just as sentient,
I
just as
know we are.
conscious,
Yeah,
just as alive as we are.
I know they're alive. That's why I want to kill them. But me saying you don't have to, sexually assault a cow to kill it and get its meat. That is happening
You
outside
do.
of whatever
You
I want to
actually
happen.
do. So
No, you
maybe you
don't.
don't understand how factory farming works. But every time we want to produce cows in factories, they don't come from the wild, right? They're coming from factories where we forcibly impregnate animals. We literally stick our fists into their you know whats to make them pregnant. So almost every instance of a cow that you're eating invoked some kind of sexual cruelty. And to me, that's wrong.
You don't have to be a meat eater only from factory farming. That's crazy. You can kill a cow when you go hunting, and you can still
Oh,
not be
really?
vegan.
Wild
That's not an
cows?
argument for being
There's no
vegan.
such thing as wild cows, but more importantly, why do you have the
Okay, so
right?
why do you choose cows?
Why
There's other animals
why
that are
is it
wild.
that you get to slaughter some animals in the wild but not in factories? Why? What
Wait,
justifies
what?
that? Why do you recognize that it's wrong to kill an animal in a factory, but then suddenly think it's okay to kill an animal in the wild?
So factory farming does do bad stuff, right? And I'm still gonna eat meat because you can get meat without factory farming.
Okay, but no, all farming invokes some cruelty, and you're causing way more cruelty by eating an animal.
I'm causing cruelty.
Yeah, you're harming an animal, you're killing it, you're slaughtering it, and you're enslaving it, you're insulting it.
So if 9 billion cows die a year and I stop eating meat, 9 billion cows still die a year. I'm not doing shit.
We already talked about this from the beginning, right? I explained to you that just because there's a million people that get murdered doesn't grant us the right to continue murdering, even if just because one person isn't murdered, right?
So you keep
You see
using
the point?
human beings on your
What you just
example.
invoked justifies all kinds of terror.
You keep using human beings. Like I respond to you about animals, and you come back saying, "Well, people shouldn't die," and I'm like, I already answered this. Yes, people should not die, and people are way above animals. So stop talking about people, and let's get back to animals.
Okay.
So
In
9
what
billion
way are we
cows.
above the animal?
If I,
Okay, great. So in what way are we above the animals?
this is the second thing you asked me. I already told you the value, right? We provide a lot more value.
And I explained to you that no matter the value we provide to society, there is always an example of somebody who doesn't provide any value, or at least the same value as a cow or a pig.
Yeah, and they're humans. So no matter
Right.
how
So
slow
then
they
stop
are,
invoking the value, because in actuality, the crux of your argument is that we are people. Therefore, we get to have some kind of good reason as to why we should never be killed. Well, I'm sorry, but that's not a good enough justification for me, because species means nothing but the difference in genetic material.
Right, to
That to me
you.
is not a good justification for harming somebody.
Right. So you don't recognize us as being anything but animals. And I can tell that we are animals and we are way above in every single class to every other animal. And we have special privilege, like
It's
special
relevant. It's
prerequisites.
irrelevant because I can always point to somebody who is not above an animal in any intellectual capacity.
Just by virtue of being a human, you are.
Why? How?
Because that's how socially we have come to accept it. Literally, that's
Oh,
how
so
morality
that's
works.
so
That's
that's
our
not
moral.
intrinsic, right? You're just saying that socially I feel this way. That's not
No,
intrinsic.
it's intrinsic because we have said intrinsically, if you're born a human, you're above everyone. That's what we
That's
all
just
agree
that's
to.
not intrinsic value. That's just your opinion.
We're born human, right? And we value humans
Okay.
over anything else. So by virtue of being born a human, we value them over anything else. How is it not intrinsic?
Because intrinsic means something that goes beyond any person's opinion, right? It's an objective matter. What I'm telling you is this. There is no objective value for anybody. We're all in the same boat, animals and people. The only problem is you are suggesting that there is some reason that we are morally superior to all the other animals and we should never be harmed, but the other animals should be harmed. And I'm trying to ask you, what is that thing? And you can't provide it for us today. You can't show us a difference morally between us and animals that justifies slaughtering them.
Well, I'm sorry I couldn't do it. Maybe next time I'll win some money.
Okay. Have a good day, sir.
So are
Hey, what do you got?
okay? So my question first: Are you atheist today, a vegan today, jihad, or what are you today? So I know what argument we're having, or debate. Let me rephrase it. Because honestly,
We're
on
arguing
top of
these
the food-
things today.
We're on top of the food chain. That's why we
Okay.
eat other animals.
And
That's why we eat other animals.
okay,
So
what's higher,
more-
sir
use morals. Let's not have an argument on morals.
Matthew?
Let's have an
What's
argument on the facts.
Matthew?
not morals.
If you were in a cage with a lion,
I will be
what's
dead.
what's higher on the food chain, sir? A lion or
The
you?
lion would be ending up killing me. Why? Because I have none of my technological advantage over the animal.
Oh, so you're not the top of the food chain.
Yeah, we
Oh,
are.
okay. So then why can't you kill a lion when you're
I
stuck in a
can't do
cage
it
with it?
one-on-one. If I had a team of people, yeah, we can.
Oh, so you need a team of people. Okay.
Again, if I
Look,
need an
look,
animal,
look.
I'm going to kill an animal.
Matt, you're
If I
not
need to
look
have food.
look, you're not understanding the point here. The point is the food chain's irrelevant.
What's
What is relevant is morality. What
No.
morally justifies slaughtering an animal?
There is no morals there. There is none there. There
You
is
don't have
none.
morality?
Not when it comes to food. No, it's food.
Oh,
I don't care
okay.
if it's a plant.
So
I don't.
what if
I don't care if it's a plant. I
So
don't care if it's
Matthew,
any other type of mammal. If I need food, I'm going to take it.
okay, if I want to eat a person, can I eat a person?
Yup. Yeah, you can. It's edible.
So you think it's morally justified to be a cannibal?
If I need food, yes.
Okay, do you need to eat a cow?
No, I choose to. But see, you want to try to put morals into it. If I'm going to eat an animal, I'm going to eat an animal.
Right, because you don't have to eat a cow,
No, I
right?
don't.
You can eat a plant.
I can eat a plant. I can eat a cow.
Instead.
I can eat a squirrel. I can eat insects. I can eat rabbits.
Yeah, the guest wasn't catching on to he wasn't tracking to the logic here. I understand you could eat those things. The problem is that you have ethics. And I don't care just because I can. My ethics is not dictated by the sheer fact that I can do something. Is dictated by the fact that we could do otherwise. That there are other options on the table. And as an ethical agent, I look at the best possible option, the one that minimizes harm for others. And to me, that's being a vegan by far.
I mean, okay, so I guess the only argument I have is the Venus flytrap eats animals. Right? Eats
How old are you?
21.
What year were you born?
2002.
So a Venus flytrap, I agree, eats flies and eats insects. I agree. The problem is that a Venus flytrap does those things out of necessity. It has no other option, right? Whereas the difference is humans do have an option. We have a variety of options that are, at our table. We have grocery stores, we have delivery, we have all kinds of things we can do. So to me, the best option is the one that causes least harm. And that's being vegan, because vegans kill way less animals, way less plants, and we do way less damage to the environment.
So you're basically saying, since we have the knowledge to know what to eat and what not to eat, that we should choose plants over animals.
Right.
So that's pretty much it. All right, that's all I was wondering.
Great. Thank you. And keep learning, keep learning things around you. Learn how animals work, learn how the food system works, learn where the animals come from that you're eating. Educate yourself, learn.
Yo, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hey, what do you got for us today?
Yeah, just on like the go vegan stuff. Are you like just saying like everyone should just go vegan? Like I just joined, so I'm not sure what your argument is on that.
Yeah, if
Would you say like
everybody should be vegan?
And you're saying everyone in the world, right? Like no matter where they're at, no matter where their environmental conditions is, right? So like,
Well, yeah, and I know you're trying to say, well, how about other people in other countries where they don't have options available, accessible to them as we do as Americans or as Europeans? Or I understand that perspective, but the problem is that that's a fundamental understanding of what veganism is. Veganism is not a diet. It is an ethical stance against cruelty. So anybody could be vegan as long as you're recognizing that, recognizing what you're doing, recognizing your actions can harm others, and recognizing that you can minimize animal suffering. And that's all it means to be vegan, to actually minimize harm and actually do that.
oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, that was basically what I was gonna counter argue with. Just yeah, like I don't know, Mongolians or like people like I don't know in deserts or like extreme cold environments wouldn't be able to sustain a life going vegan.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that there's some people in the world that live in isolated tribes, isolated systems where they can't go to the store. I understand that, and that's a different story. I would recommend if I could talk to those people, I would say, hey, move somewhere else if you could, right? But the problem is that I can't fix the entire world. What I could do is, try to what we could do as people with phones and access to these things is try our best to minimize harm. That's all I'm advocating here for. That's all veganism means.
Okay, well, yeah, that's all I had. I agree with the other stuff. So
Great. All right. Let's have the next guy in here.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, how are you? What do you got?
Hey, so I have a few questions. I'm not here to argue or anything. I believe everybody needs to have their own beliefs and things, but you said that humans are not above animals, correct? Like we're the same,
Well,
right?
we are animals. We are animals. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, do you believe that plants are also living organisms?
Yes.
What gives us the right to eat those? Then, in that same argument, I'm saying,
because plants are not sentient.
do we know that?
They don't feel
Are we
pain.
sure? Did you know that the
Yeah, we are very sure.
Do you know that the science they did an experiment with a mustard plant, right, where the caterpillars would come and they would eat on the mustard plant? Well, the plant sensed that it was being eaten, so it put more mustard, the bitter part, in that area that it was being eaten, and it refused, like the caterpillars refused to eat it after it
Oh,
knew that it was
yeah,
being eaten.
absolutely.
So I
No,
mean, that's intelligence, right? I mean, that's
no,
still
that is a no, that is a biochemical reaction. And this is something that plants all have, but that does not equate to sentience. The difference with sentience is things like neurotransmitters, things like pain receptors, they're called nice receptors. These are different types of material that are biological that are able to actually, send signals throughout the body, electrochemical signals that correlate to pain. And these are things that plants just don't have. Plants don't have nervous systems, they don't have brains, they don't have pain receptors at all.
well,
And
back in
that's
the
why
30s, wouldn't they say that about animals too, though? Like us as human beings would say, oh, well, animals don't feel this or animals don't do that because we didn't know any better. But now we do. And I think the science in plants is getting stronger to where we're like, oh, crap, they can do this. They can hear us. I mean, it's proven that if you talk to a houseplant while you're watering it, it survives longer, it does better, it produces more fruit.
no, that's actually not proven. And
That's
can you actually give a
absolutely
study for that?
proven. Why? Well, I mean, I don't have the stuff
There
right
is no
in front of
study.
me, but I mean, there.
So what I'll do is I'll actually offer you a study.
Okay.
It's called Debunking the Myth of Plant Consciousness.
Okay.
And it was done in 2018, and it actually is a thoroughly it goes thoroughly into your questions, and it actually debunks the idea that plant consciousness. And I suggest you look at that paper. The paper you're citing has actually not been repeated. It is actually not even a true study. It is a terrible one. And I would suggest you go back to the drawing board and learn more about plants. They don't have nervous systems in their brains. But even if they did, all right, let's just say you're correct, that plants are sentient. Did you know that vegans kill less plants? Vegans kill about 75% less plants
Do,
than their counterpart meat eaters.
do you know how many voles and moles and rats and things that are just destroyed for soy crops? Like, I mean, it's still like
And sir, what percent of soy is produced for humans?
I couldn't tell you. What is it?
About 7%. And guess what? 90% is grown for your animals that you slaughter.
No, I get that. I get that. All I came to say was
Okay, great. So going vegan would actually save those moles and bulls from dying.
I believe that it takes life to sustain it, no matter what the life is, no matter if you call it non-sentient or not, it's still life. It's still, I mean, just because we can't hear broccoli screaming when we rip it out of the ground doesn't mean it isn't. That's all. That was my whole point. That's my whole
and
point.
And it's the reason why it's a bad point is because there is a
not a
stark
bad point.
difference.
It's actually a pretty good
No,
point. But
let me explain why it's wrong.
okay.
Because there's a stark difference between simply sending out electrochemical signals, which my phone can do, right? My phone has sensory systems in it. It's not sentient, right? There's a difference between sensing
Not that we
things
know of.
versus actually sensing pain. Pain is a specific sensory system that is not replicated in any way in any plant, as far as I can see. So I would highly suggest you go back to the drawing board and learn what sentience means, and learn that vegans kill less plants.
But it is
So
But I mean, you
it
can't
collapses in both ways.
you can't deny that it's still life. So it takes life to sustain life. I mean, even if you never ate another
I agree,
animal in your
but that
life.
doesn't negate the fact that veganism minimizes cruelty and is still, to me, a superior ethical framework than any meat eater.
Yeah. Well, I've had this conversation a lot because my sister has been a vegan for about 20 years, but she's had a high fever for about 5 of those, and nobody can really understand why or
Well,
what it
I don't
is.
claim to be a doctor here, sir. I'm not a doctor. I'm not
No,
Dr.
no, I
Mike.
know, I get it.
But what I can tell you is that there are instances, anecdotal instances of people in all kinds of diets and dietary choices and conditions having all kinds of illnesses. There is no way we can possibly assess what you just stated as somehow evidence against veganism. Because
Well, I'm not
veganism
trying
is
to
not a
disprove it,
diet.
and honestly, I don't.
Veganism is not a diet. And two, veganism has nothing to do about health. It's about the animals.
I get that, and I love that. I'm glad that there are people like you out here preaching it.
Then why aren't you vegan? Why, if
Because
you're gonna say I love people
I'll
like
tell
me,
you,
then
man.
why are you not vegan?
The
Right? Like,
only
don't say
reason.
you love me and then say that you don't agree with me.
Well, people still love me, and I'm Christian. People hate me,
No,
Christians right
what
now.
I mean, what I mean is, don't say you love what I'm saying and then say I disagree with what you're saying. Right? That doesn't make
Well,
any sense.
I just think that our gut, like scientifically, is meant for both. Whether the papers come out and say,
Well,
"Oh,
I'm
we were
sorry,
never
sir,
loved,"
but feelings don't care about facts.
well, what
Feelings
are
are
the facts
feelings.
then? What are the facts that you're spewing about?
The fact is that the Academy of Dietetics and Nutrition, this is an academy of tons of doctors and nutritionists and experts in the field, suggests that vegan diets are sustainable for all forms of human life. That you don't need to eat meat.
I get it. I guess I was just raised this way, and I was raised in the American, corporate American scheme. I guess I don't know, but I don't think that I could stop eating meat altogether. Yeah, I do think it's
Well, I
cruel. I
think you
think
can.
there's
I think that you haven't given it enough thought and examination. I think that you should continue learning. All I could hope for you to do is after this conversation, go learn, educate yourself, learn facts. That's the best I can hope for you. Okay?
all right. I appreciate.
Thank you. I'm back, guys. Keep tapping. I'm back, guys, and keep tapping. Hello?
Hello? So, Mike, how do you explain the universe coming into like how is it here now?
Well, when you invoke the word how, that is presupposing that there has to be a reason why it's this way. I don't seem to think that there has to be a reason, or that seems to be a human invention. Maybe things just are for no reason. And our imposing this self-imposing thing that we try to personify the universe to make it seem as if there has to be a reason why we exist. Maybe that's not real. Maybe there is no reason why we are. We just are.
But if you can't explain it, like the Big Bang is not real.
Okay, are you trolling?
No, the Big Bang is not real. It was God. He put it all here.
Okay, I think you're trolling, but thank you. Have a good day. Yeah, what do you got?
So, how could you disprove God by saying God is imaginary? Because I remember you saying before that you don't actually know. So, if you don't know, then how are you so set up on this one side of the opinion?
Well, when I say God's imaginary, the word God means many different things to many different people. But what I can do for the sake of the live is just say God, because people tend to think of a being that's all powerful and loving and all this stuff. That's typically what people mean, right? So when I say God's imaginary, I'm talking about the typical definition of God, the supreme being who's all knowing, all powerful. And I can debunk this. We can examine specific definitions of gods and point out contradictions or inconsistencies in those views. We can point to the problem of evil. We can point to divine hiddenness or the omniparadoxes or free will and all these different problems with theistic paradigms. That's my job. As an atheist, that's what I defend.
So, when you're saying like you can debunk it with evil and this and that, how would you even be able to do so? Just because people act evil or this and that?
If a theist claims that God is all loving, But then we look around the world and we observe lots of suffering, and not just regular suffering, but lots of gratuitous suffering,
Yeah, so I don't
unnecessary suffering. I
understand
think
how
that poses
us
a
as
big
humans.
problem for theists.
Yeah, but I think it's y'all are focused on how it's us as humans that do the bad thing, and then we sit there and blame God for us doing the bad thing. Like I'm not understanding that. It's us humans that are they're doing the bad thing. How can you blame God for someone else doing a bad
Okay,
thing? Who
so
told you?
let's say let's say there's a volcano that erupts and kills 1,000 people.
It's
Was
natural.
that a person's fault? Was it a person's fault?
It's called natural. Listen, the natural thing. I don't understand. Like
And who designed the natural?
God. So what is so? Hold on. So because someone dies from something that's natural, that means that God's not all loving. What
Well,
else are they
it
supposed
seems
to?
to me
How
that
else would
it's
you
a
want them to die?
unnecessary cause, a necessary thing, right? Why did God design volcanoes if He knew that they would burn people?
I mean, it's something that can happen. Like, did you expect this to be like a whole not like a whole world just full of things that can't hurt us and stuff like that? Like, I'm not understanding.
Well, when you
What would you
claim
have
that
rather
God
there
is
be?
all loving, when you claim that God is all loving and He loves everybody, I would expect to live in a world where there's only love.
And how? And so you would expect to only live. So people wouldn't have free will then if that's the case.
Well, okay, I don't think we have free will anyway, so it doesn't harm me.
So
It
why
harms
don't you?
only you.
So do you thinking that there's not free will does not constitute it being a fact that there's not free will? That's just you
And
not
if you
thinking.
think
Yeah.
you have it, it doesn't mean it's a fact either. What's the point?
So what's the point to us or to you? Because I mean, we both have two different standpoints on life.
Look,
You have an atheist point of
my
view. I don't.
point is that you're asserting something. You're asserting that God exists, and I'm saying, wait a minute, there are issues with this notion. Let me point them out to you. And you're going, what? Well, what do you expect God to do? Right? It seems to me that your notion of God is built on a house of cards, about to be tipped over.
It's not. How is it about to be tipped over either? Like
Because you
nothing
have
is.
no evidence for God, and you have no good reason why gratuitous suffering exists.
So you basically want evidence for a faith-based religion that you know
Yeah.
is faith-based, but yet you still ask for evidence, as if science could even test God, even if that's not a thing. Science is based off of the repeatability of an experience. If you can't redo whatever science is testing and all that, that's science. You cannot. How are you supposed to test God? Like I'm not understanding this.
That's your problem.
How's that our problem? Y'all are the ones that are upset that we
Well-
can't test God in a scientific way. So then you just result to the fact of it's being.
Well, we live
false.
in a society.
Understand.
We live in a society that is largely driven economically and socially by religion. And to me,
Hold on. So
I
who's
think it's
control- hold on.
important. Hold on,
Listen,
hold on.
I'm just trying to understand what you just
I
said.
think
before.
it's important to make sure that before we claim something, we have evidence to support it. That's all I care about. I care about being honest and truthful. And to me, you seem to not care about those things. And that's a problem for society as a whole.
Well, I'm sorry, it seems that way to you. I don't remember that coming out of my mouth. So a good.
So then why would you have faith? Faith is the epitome of dishonesty.
So okay. So you're asking. So why would we have? So basically, it's dishonesty because you don't believe in it.
It's dishonesty because you're claiming to know something that you don't know.
You're doing the same exact thing, basically. If
How?
you want to put it into that.
How am I doing
You're claiming that there's no God when you honestly can't even say that. You can't just have that same. There's no point. How can you prove that there's no God? You can't. Just
Because
like you
there are
can't prove
good
that there
reasons to think that God does not exist.
Okay, so just
there
because
are, like the evidential problem with evil I just explained to you. I just explained to you that there is a problem of evil. Why does evil exist if
okay,
God
so
is all
it's
good?
just like cold. It's just like hot and cold. Hot only exists because it's the absence of what? It's like what is cold? Cold is the cold only exists because it's the absence
Look,
of
I
what?
understand there are dichotomies.
So evil
in
is
the
literally
world.
just absence of God.
Look, I understand there are dichotomies in this world. The problem is that you're making a claim that God, this all-powerful being, could have made a world where there is no such dichotomy, there is love, but yet he decided to make a world where there is evil.
He made a.
Why?
So what he did was to give us free will. So he gave people free will to be able to choose that.
Oh,
But it's
okay.
not-
So now you're going to try to avoid the problem by saying free will.
How am I?
But does
avoiding it?
God
That's
have,
what free
but does
will
God
is.
have free will? Does God have free will?
God can do whatever he wants. Yes, he can. So
Okay. So if God has free will, does God ever do wrong with his free will?
no, he's perfect. He's sinless.
Great. So clearly, logically speaking, you can have a universe where there is a God who is all good and has free will, and he's perfect.
You just
So
said
why
that.
couldn't God make us that way, such
Because
that
then we
we
would
are
be God.
all
So,
good,
hold on. So
but
first,
never do evil with our free will?
In the Bible, it
so
says that God created us in our own image.
to begin with, if you're basically asking why didn't God make us the way He is, and that would make us God. I'm not understanding your point.
Yeah. Well, not it wouldn't make us God, it would make us all good. Why didn't God make us
Because He
good?
wanted to give you
That
the choice. So if God just made us and designed us a specific, like, oh yeah, you're gonna be all good. You can't do this, this, and that. We wouldn't have the choice to choose then. But right now, we're having the choice to
so
choose.
but
And the
you
choice
just
to
said that
choose is
God has but you, right, but you just said that God has free will, even though he can never choose evil.
yeah, He chooses not to do evil. That's the thing. He doesn't
Great.
want
So
to, so
then
He's not going to do
why couldn't God make us all good, such that we have the choice to do evil, but we just don't choose it with our all good nature?
So basically you're asking what ifs, like why didn't He do this, this, and that, and have it this way? It's not that
Yeah,
way.
because he could have.
He could have, but He didn't. So I'm not. It's like y'all don't want to face the reality
Exactly.
of what it
So
actually
so
is.
we're
You're
left with
saying
well,
you're going off of
hold
coulda,
on.
shoulda, wouldas. I'm not understanding.
The reason why this is a big problem for you is because
It's
we're
not a
left
problem
with
for
we're
me.
left
It's
with
the
two
problem for the
options. Hold on,
unbeliever.
hold on,
You're the one who
hold
don't
on,
believe. It's no
hold
problem
on.
for me.
Just look, I understand you're anxious. Just listen.
I'm not anxious at
We are
all.
okay. We're left with two options under your view. What you're saying is that there is this all-powerful God out there who had two choices. He could have made a universe where everybody's happy and all good and we have free will, or he could have chosen a world where we have free will and there's evil. He chose one where there's evil. So it seems antithetical for a all-loving God to choose the option that invokes evil. Why? Why would God choose evil instead of love?
So He called us to love everyone and all of that. Just because people choose, I'm not really not understanding what your point is. Yes, yeah, He chose the world that I guess people can choose evil and stuff like that. How does that? So that makes Him not all loving because He didn't choose what you wanted it to be,
It
basically.
makes him not loving because he chose the evil option. He could have chose the loving option, but he chose the evil option instead.
Who chose the evil option?
So God chose the evil option because He allows evil to happen. He allows people to choose basically what they want to do.
He could have made it so that we never do
So
evil.
what
but
what
he
you're
did
doing is
choose
going off
evil.
of coulda, shoulda, woulda. He could have done this. He should have. I'm not understanding your point. You're going
What
off
you're
coulda, shoulda,
explaining
wouldas.
is you're saying that you want
Look,
God.
let me
Cool,
explain this
cool.
way. Let me explain this way. I have a child, right? Who I could have chose a world for them where they would always be good and have free will. They'd always choose right with their free will, or I could have chosen a world where my kids have free will but they choose wrong. They're evil. They have an evil nature.
Yeah, Eve chose.
What's the
Everything was
better
good until
world? What
Eve
would be the better
chose.
world for me to choose?
So, do you know how the world started off in the Bible, or are you just thinking that it
Sir,
just came?
can you answer the question? Can you answer the question? What would be the better world for me to
The good.
choose? The one where evil exists, or the one where evil does not exist?
It's a very irrelevant question. It's very irrelevant to the point. I'm not understanding.
This is absolutely relevant because it shows you that your God is evil because he chose the evil
So
world.
okay, so when Adam and Eve were in the garden, was there any evil?
You believe that
It's
nonsense?
a
You
yes
tell
or
me.
I'm asking you a question because you're going off of coulda, shoulda, woulda.
I don't
This, and
believe
that.
in Adam and Eve. I don't think Adam and Eve existed.
So okay, but if you're sitting here trying to play to the point, you're basically trying to make it seem as if evil just always like it was always like this. It wasn't like this at first. It's two people that messed it up.
Oh, okay. So now you're saying that the world was perfect at one point and then it became imperfect.
Yes, by the hand of
Okay.
what? By the hand of what?
Okay,
Man,
sir.
us.
Okay, great. So how can a perfect being make a mistake?
It wasn't God didn't make the mistake. It was the humans. I'm not understanding.
Were-
Like, you're not getting it.
Were Adam and Eve perfect?
They were not. I want. Yeah, they were made. Yeah, they were made in God's image
Okay, so they were perfect. So how can a perfect being make a mistake?
because they still had free will. They weren't God.
Okay, does God have free will?
They're not God. I'm not understanding. You're not understanding the point.
It doesn't
They're not
matter if they're God. I'm
regardless.
trying to make the comparison with free will and perfection.
God can't.
There's only two qualities that are relevant, right? If there is a being who has free will but is perfect. They will always choose the right choice.
And that's God. Yes.
But why can't that be people? Why can't we be perfect humans and always make the right human
Because
choice?
we're not. It's that simple. We're not. It's like you
And
ask-
whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? That's God's fault.
this is what you call that Epicurean paradox, sense of questions that you guys ask. It's sad. You're going, why isn't it this way? But why don't we just face the reality of what it is?
Well, the problem, sir,
and
is
not-
you're not giving. Look, the problem is you're not getting it. You're not giving us a very good argument as to
You're
why
not
we should
either.
believe you.
You're not
Whereas
getting a
my
good argument
argument
why you
is
shouldn't
actually
either.
my argument is valid and it addresses the problem. Yours does not. That's the
And,
difference.
and yours does?
Yeah, the problem is that your God chose an evil world.
To who?
To logic. This is logic.
To you, your logic, right?
Human logic.
No, it's not my logic, your logic. It's logic, right?
If it's not my
is a
logic, your
systematic
logic, we both have
language.
different logics, obviously, because we both believe in
Okay.
different things.
Then
Yes,
let's.
no?
This is why we just debated. Do you agree that perfect beings can never make a mistake?
He can't, and he hasn't. Just because you
Okay,
deem it as a
great.
mistake
So,
does not mean
okay,
it's a
great.
mistake.
We're,
in his
we're
eyes.
humans. We're humans perfect beings.
Say it again.
We're humans perfect.
No, we're not
Adam and Eve?
perfect. Obviously not.
We're Adam and Eve. We're Adam and Eve perfect.
Oh my goodness. Adam and Eve made a mistake. They had free will. They were made perfect, but still had free
Okay,
will.
sir. We're Adam and Eve perfect.
They were made perfect, but still had free will. Yes.
Great. But just because you have free will does not necessitate you making an error.
Okay, so exactly. So it's on the person. Because you have free will. If they want to make an error,
No,
they're gonna make an
you're
error.
not understanding. Look,
Mike, I don't think you think before you ask these questions for real. I'm not gonna lie. It's like they just
no,
fly
you're
out.
just not understanding what I'm. Look, you're not listening.
No,
You're just
that's
yapping
you.
right now.
It's like you're I'm not understanding. You're saying the same thing. Oh, if this, if that. It's not helping out at all. And you're like,
Are you done? Okay, great. So what I'm trying to show you is that a perfect being would never make a mistake, even if they had free will.
and he didn't make
So-
a mistake. So, okay. So whose standards are you going off of right now?
What do you mean? What standards?
What standards are you? So they're perfect and they made a mistake. They're not God, regardless.
It doesn't
They're
matter
us.
if they're God. They're perfect, right? Human. Do you think Adam and Eve were perfect?
So if they made a mistake, were they perfect?
No, perfect beings don't make mistakes. They're flawless.
Where did you get that information? Who told you that? Artificial intelligence is created. Was okay. If something is perfect, right? A perfect is a calculator. If you put 2 + 2 in there, it's going to tell you it's 4. It gives you a perfect answer. If you leave that calculator sitting for 20 years and try to use it, it's going to be broken. It's not going to work. When it comes to Adam and Eve, they were created perfectly in the image of God. They were not created to be exactly like God.
It's
They
that
were
simple.
perfect in
Okay,
creation.
great. So,
Out of God's love
so
and
are humans? So are you saying that God designed humans to make flaws?
what?
Are you saying that God designed us to be flawed?
No, God designed us out of love, and out of love gave us a
Okay,
choice.
so what you can't have it both ways. You can't say God designed us imperfectly and then say He designed us
I
perfectly.
never said He
That's a
designed us
contradiction.
imperfectly. I never said that.
So did God make us perfect or not? Which is it?
Yes, He made us perfect.
Okay, great. So how can
your
perfect
logic,
beings make
your logic
mistakes?
on something being created perfect should mean that they cannot sin. You're neglecting the fact that in order to be a perfect God in love, you have to give your creation a choice to choose to follow me. Or to
Yeah,
follow
you're
your
not.
own
That's
way.
irrelevant.
By
Choice
following
doesn't
your
mean
own
you
way,
always.
you're not an omnipresent being.
Look,
You are
sir.
choosing to go in your own way.
Look, you're not listening. You're not listening. Just because you have free will does not mean you must make the wrong choice.
Okay,
Just like
so
logic, just like logically, God has free will.
So
but
what you're
never
basically
chooses the
saying,
wrong
Mike,
choice.
is so Mike, what you're basically saying is you can have free will, but that doesn't mean you have to choose evil. You don't, but people
Exactly.
do. I'm not
Exactly.
understanding your point.
And
Okay,
why
but
doesn't
people
God
do.
choose
If we
evil?
all didn't choose,
Why doesn't
So-
God choose evil?
because God doesn't want to do evil. He can't.
He physically can't.
He
He's
can't do
created perfect.
evil, right? Because of his good nature, right? So why couldn't God make us like that?
Because then
We're
that
good
would give
natured,
us-
so we never do evil.
So you basically saying, why aren't we on the same pedestal as God? We're not
No,
supposed
no,
to.
I'm saying why couldn't God make us good natured so that we never do evil?
He did.
He made us like that. So you're basically
No,
saying,
we did it.
why aren't we
We
made like?
clearly
You're
we're
asking
clearly evil.
Twin, you're literally asking the question, why aren't we made like God? So that's all of the characteristics of
No,
God, not being able to.
the only two characteristics that matter here are perfection and free will. That's
So
it.
when the Bible says be
Not
perfect,
God.
so when the Bible says be perfect, the Greek word for it, I forgot the Greek word, but it doesn't mean perfect as what we deem perfect, as this, and that. The Greek word for it, perfect, it's saying whole, complete, stuff like that. In God's eyes, he made us whole, complete, this, and that. We're not, it's not the perfect that you're thinking of, like the
Okay, so we're not,
without
so God designed us to make mistakes, ethically.
No.
Adam and Eve made a mistake, so that made us now we needed a savior.
Okay, so
We made it.
so Adam and
man
Eve,
making a
Adam and
mistake.
Eve, so Adam and Eve were perfect. They made a mistake, right? Is that what you're saying?
They were made perfect in God's eyes. I'm not thinking.
Right, but then they made an imperfect decision. Okay.
So do you
So
understand
that
that
seems like a contradiction.
they were made perfect in God's eyes? So do you know what God's perfect is, or are you leaning off of the textbook definition of what perfect is?
Look, there's only two options here. Either God made us perfect such that we would never make wrong decisions,
So
or
who's
God made
so
us
you're
in
basically
a way
saying
that we would.
that
Hold on, you're not listening. Look, you don't listen. That's why you're confused.
I'm not confused at all.
There's only two options here. Either God made us perfect such that we would never make the wrong choice, or he made us in a way that was flawed such that we would make the wrong choice at some point.
So
Which is it?
when it says that we're made perfect in God's eyes, the perfect that God has for us, what he's saying perfect in God's eyes, that's not the perfect that you're trying to say that's where it's like we won't mess up and stuff like that. Perfect in God's eyes is something totally different. It's not that we're
Okay, great. So then God made us flawed.
I guess human beings can choose to make a flawed choice. That's what they can
Okay,
do.
great. So then God made us flawed. So why is he going to burn us in hell for it? It's his
So
fault.
it's his fault that you chose to make a decision with the free will you have, a
He
dumb
designed
decision.
me flawed.
That's his fault.
Yes, he designed me flawed such that I would make the bad decision.
So he made you make the bad decision.
He designed me in a way. He designed my nature to make wrong
He designed
decisions.
your
It's his
nature to
fault,
be able
not
to
mine.
make so you can make decisions. You can choose to make a bad decision, or I'm not. This is like kindergarten logic type. You
Look,
can
you're
choose
not.
to
You're
make a
still
bad.
not getting it. Look.
I
God
feel
could
like
have made us good, such that we never make bad decisions. But He
so we're
decided
going
to
back
make
to
us
the
bad in a
Trinitarian
way that would
thing.
make us bad decisions. It's God's fault. If you look at it, God made the rules for His
So
kingdom.
it's God's fault that
He's the one who designed us.
so it's
The
God's fault
fault
that
is God's,
right.
not mine.
So
It's
it's God's
God's
fault.
fault every single time.
Right. God's fault that he gave you free will and you chose to do something dumb with it. Oh,
Well, he
that
designed
makes
me in a
sense.
way that would cause me to make dumb decisions. It's his fault either way.
Choice. You
Okay,
made the
so
choice.
you made the choice, but yet it's God's fault.
Yes,
So it's
because I
everyone's
was
fault but yours,
designed to
basically.
be flawed in the first place. God could have made us perfect such that we never make bad decisions.
So everything's God's fault. It's not your fault at all.
Yes, literally,
You make a
everything's
mistake, it's not your
God's fault
fault.
if he designed us.
Are you serious, Mike? And you're actually serious with this logic? Like you have the smile on you're like dead serious too.
Look, you're not actually countering with any logic at all.
Mike,
You're just saying, "Oh, well, you really think that?" Look, you're not listening to what I'm really saying here. The point is that God had a choice when he designed us to make us perfect or imperfect.
you're made
God
perfect in
decided to
God's
make us
eyes.
imperfect.
Not just because it seems like you're trying to put the
sir,
perfect. You want it to be your
hold on,
perfect.
hold on,
I'm not understanding.
hold on. God decided to make me flawed. Period. It's God's fault. Period.
Flawed because you chose to make a decision. If God is going to be perfect as he is, he has to, out of love, give you the choice to choose him.
That's irrelevant.
So if you
And
don't
that's
have a
irrelevant,
choice, so
right?
Mike,
I know we have a choice. That's irrelevant though, right? The problem is that
us
God
making the
designed
choice
us.
is irrelevant.
Yeah, because God
Wow.
designed us in a way that we would make the wrong choice to begin with.
This
So
ba-
God
this-
gave us the equipment to make the wrong choice, right?
This sounds
Whereas
like
God
children
could not
and-
have.
this
God
sounds like
could have made a
children.
world. God could not. God could have not done that in the first place.
This sounds
God
like a-
could have made it perfect from the get go. He chose not to.
This sounds like a child arguing in middle school. Like it's always someone else's fault.
He's not being serious. He's not. They're not engaging. It's God's fault because guess what? He designed us to be flawed. He could have made us perfect. He chose not to. That's why he's evil.
All right. This is from a Muslim perspective, but back to what you're saying to help you understand a little bit more. What they're trying to really say is that if you believe that bad things happen in a non-loving God, you have to understand that we are in his dimension, number one. We were designed.
No, look, listen. I want an actual argument. I don't want you to try to apologize for why you have bad logic. I want a good argument that explains why evil exists when God could have chose a world where there was no evil.
Perfect.
Why is there evil? Why did God choose to design evil?
Because with evil comes test. If we
Okay,
believe,
great. So then you can see that God is evil because God designed evil.
I'll tell you one thing: God is not just loving; He's most just. Vengeance is for God.
Sir, I didn't ask for your opinion.
Go ahead.
I asked to show me that God is good. Is God loving or is God evil to some degree?
God has many attributes. He could be evil. God could be evil. Yes.
Okay, great. So then you believe in an evil God.
Yes, I believe in a God that could do evil things
Okay.
for revenge.
Okay.
I
So God can rape, God can murder, and this is what you believe is
no,
just.
God
Okay.
don't rape. God, the God.
Sir, have a good day. See, it's very easy to point out issues in this logic in the Christians and the Muslims.
Hello.
It's hard to point out flaws in my logic.
Hey, so do you believe that God doesn't exist outright, or do you believe that there's a possibility, or?
It depends on what you mean by God.
Yeah. Just like a singular point of creation, a creator.
I don't know what a creator means. I mean, what do you mean by creation? How does one create something?
Just like how an artist, paints a painting, just creates something from their own will.
Was it their own will? Or was it that there were a series of reactions that caused that person to behave the way they did physically, right? And by the way, that painting was not just surely the painter saying, poof, let there be a painting, and poof, the painting exists. No, that painting was the assemblage of pre-existing material, paint and a painting and colors and a paper.
Yeah.
And all those things were assembled into something we call a painting, but they didn't just come from thin air. So this is why you have to be careful before you say creation. Is it ex materia or ex nihilo?
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, no, just like a singular point of creation. So everything goes down into a singular point, right? Because would you agree that we live in a world that's cause and effect?
I don't know what that means.
Well,
I don't know what that means, a singular
okay.
point.
Well, let me just start with this. Do you agree that we live in a world that's cause and effect? Something happens and then there's a reaction to that action?
Well, causality is not necessarily a fundamental feature of reality. It could be emergent in the sense that there is no fundamental law of nature that says this cause must cause this effect. What we actually observe actually a subjective experience, a relative experience of what it means to have cause and effect. And that's why cause and effect to me is not really it's a really trivial thing.
It's trivial? Okay. Well,
yeah, it's not fundamental. It's just something emergent.
Okay. Well, that's actually the basis behind every single science discovery and every single scientific method or
no, there is no scientific law that says causes must have effects. That's nonsense. That's just something that our brains do. It could be most likely an illusion of causality.
Well, it would be just as illogical as saying that this happened because of nothing. There's no explanation for why this happened, because according to your logic, it sounds like to me, according to your logic, something can happen without any reason. It doesn't have to be a cause.
Look, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the notion that there is a cause and an effect that a cause that precedes the effect. that experience
Yeah.
of time is an illusion. It could be an illusion. It could be an emergent phenomenon. In actuality, there might be some more fundamental, deeper truth of reality
Just
that
so. Oh yeah.
that goes beyond that notion of causality, right? And that's why we have to be careful before we invoke this notion of causality as somehow being a fundamental feature of reality.
Yeah. Just
That's all
so
I'm
we're on
trying
the.
to say.
I get you. Just so we're on the same page, are you saying that something like a simulation, is that what you're trying to tell me? Is that what you're trying to explain right now?
No, it seems you don't know what I'm. Look, do you know what relativity is?
Yeah, things are like relative. Like things can change from one person to another. It's not
No,
subjective.
no. So relativity points a way different picture of reality than what is intuitive to us.
That's what I just said.
Where time changes. Time doesn't change according to relativity necessarily. Time is relative. It your perception of it changes depending on your coordination, your coordinates in the world, your velocity, all these things. So there is a perspective from this called the block universe, which paints the picture of reality in which there is no absolute time to the universe. The universe doesn't work on time. Time is something that we perceive subjectively. And that's why your argument doesn't make any sense to me.
I haven't actually presented my argument. I was just asking you a question. So okay. So just so I'm clear, you believe in you outright don't believe in a singular point of creation. There's no.
I
Creator.
don't know what that means. This is what we're debating because
creator.
I don't know what creation means. You still haven't defined it properly enough for me to recognize.
Okay. An entity that created the universe.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, so what are you confused on? And then I can elaborate.
What do you mean by create? Ex nihilo, ex materia? Was it pre-existing and then it was produced? Was it pop into existence? What do you mean by creation?
Self-sustaining, something that doesn't need a creator for it to exist or be. It's self-sustaining. It can sustain itself.
Okay,
and-
then that would be just the universe to me. Then okay, that falls into the universe.
Okay, but the issue is that the universe isn't self-sustaining. You do know that there's multiple theories out there. I'm sure you're a man of you're pretty educated, right? Science. There's a theory that the entire universe is going to implode on itself. Have you heard of that?
Yeah,
Yeah, so
that
that
has
doesn't
no
sound like
that has no
self-sustaining.
bearing. Hold on. Look,
Yeah.
another problem with this is when you try to define the universe as something that we all agree with. Look, we don't know what the universe is necessarily.
That's a good point.
When you say the universe, you mean the local universe, the local space-time we inhabit? Are you talking about the entirety of everything, the totality of all things in the, that could ever exist? What do you mean by universe?
Right.
This is the reason why we have to be very cautious before we start defining things.
Yeah, right. So
let's be careful before we just start saying words. Let's define them properly. So far, what you're saying is very ill-defined.
yeah, I'm just trying to establish something. So there's a lot of ambiguity, right? And you can't. It would be pretty unfair to say outright that there's 100% no God, and then for another person to say there 100% is a God, because there's no 100% hard clear proof. And so what I'm trying to get at is that the idea of someone being an atheist, which is what I was trying to ask you in the first place, if you believed in the possibility that there is a God or not. Somebody being an atheist would mean that they don't believe in God, and I believe that that's just as outlandish as someone who does, or who claims that there is a God and isn't able to back it up with any kind of logic. So, do you outright not believe in a God, or do you think that there's a chance of there being a?
I think I think what you just said is wrong to a degree. I think that there are certain definitions of God. Like, for example, if my definition of God was a square circle or a married bachelor, that can't be. That's disproven, right? We can disprove that notion of a married bachelor because by definition, it can't exist. The same with God, I think, right? I think that
I don't agree
theists
with you.
have built their entire theology based on their own definitions of God, and based on those definitions alone, we can point out flaws in them. And that's what I say as an atheist. I'm not saying that every notion possible of a God is wrong. No. What I'm saying, however, is that for every definition I've heard of, there seems to be no good reason or logic behind them, and there seems to be lots of problems logically with those notions.
Okay, can you explain to me why there wouldn't be a possibility? Let's just say that there is a flying unicorn out there somewhere in the universe. Do you
If
have
by
any
unicorn
evidence?
you mean a horse-looking animal with a horn, yes, that's possible.
Yeah,
But
somewhere out there in the
God is a
universe.
different. But when you say, well, is God possible? What do you mean by God? And when you say, oh, he's all powerful, he's a creator, we have to be careful with these words. What do you mean by creator? If you're talking ex materia, well, that could be the universe, right? If you're talking about something powerful enough to create something, well, that could be the universe.
Okay, I have two questions for you. First of all, we already established the fact that the universe isn't self-sustaining. If you subscribe to any theory ever, and like like any scientific theory that has any merit, all of them say that the universe was is a result of an action, right? It wasn't always there. I've never heard.
We don't, sir. Look, we
Exactly.
don't know if the universe is infinite or not. We don't know the boundaries to
Well, no,
existence. We barely know the boundaries to our own universe, our own local space.
Well, yeah, actually, we do know that the universe is constantly expanding.
Well, that's only our local unit. Look, our own. That's only our local space time, right? You keep forgetting that there's we could inhabit a larger landscape of reality, right? We could be in an ocean of universes. There could be a multiverse out there.
Well, sure, but those are just
where there are
theories.
other big bangs occurring in a landscape of universes.
Yeah, sure.
That's possible.
Yeah. No, yeah, sure. I mean,
So
those
how
are
can
just
you
theories.
possibly assess? How can you possibly assess the entire ocean by looking at one molecule of water?
Yeah, I mean, that same kind of logic applies to you as well. You can't just look at the science and the evidence that we have right now, and just because we don't have any evidence at the moment, completely disregard.
Next, keep tapping, guys, and please subscribe to the YouTube for my debates and more content.
Yo, can you hear me?
Hey, what do you got?
Yeah, I was just curious because you were talking about God can't make any evil. Is that what you were saying? Or he created an evil world?
Well, if God is all good, I would assume that it can't do bad.
Okay. But can he do any good?
Yeah, if he's all good, he should be able to do good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you credit all the evil to him, but do you credit any of the good to him?
Well, did God make yours?
I believe so.
Okay, then why is there evil in the universe if God designed it?
Well, what is your definition of evil?
Well, I'm using your definition of evil, right? Do you think rape is wrong?
I do, but the idea.
There you go. Killing, death, right? Suffering. I think that's wrong.
Yes, I do believe that, but who made that definition of it being evil?
Look, we both are using the same definition. We agree upon the definition. You shouldn't be complaining here, right? I'm using your definition.
No, I do agree, but my point is that, yeah, there is some evil in this world, but of course there is good in the world. It's a balance of things. That's what I'm implying as well.
Is it really a balance when we look around nature and 99% of all species that have ever existed have gone extinct? Is it really balance when most of life is gone and has been dead and most of life that exists today is suffering? I think there's a large imbalance in the amount of harm that's being caused in the world and suffering.
So you believe death is suffering? Like the idea of death is suffering?
Death is not suffering, but I think death is wrong. I think death is not necessary.
So you think we should be like immortal?
Well, God is. Why can't we?
Well, that's yeah. Why can't we? But why do you think we
So
should?
why would God choose for us to die when life is valuable?
Why would he choose for us to die if life is valuable?
Why would he choose such to die? Why would he choose for us to suffer? Why would he choose, and not just us, but how about animals that suffer all the time in the wild? Why would he choose that? What do they do?
Well, it's kind of hard to argue that when it's because of the Christian value or whatever religion you have. Well, we know we believe this earthly, well, we live in earth doesn't really matter because we'll be with him in paradise. So to me, death is not a bad thing.
Oh, okay. So murder's okay because we're going to be in heaven after it?
I never said that. I never said murder was okay.
Oh, okay. So some death is okay, but some death is wrong. Why? What's the difference?
The cause of it.
But if we're all going to the same heaven, what matter? Why does it matter?
I never said all of us are going to the same heaven.
Okay, if I murder somebody and they were good, they're going to go to heaven, right?
Depends on your definition of good.
Or how about this? How about this? What happens if I'm a baby and I am, what happens if I'm a baby and I die in the womb? Do I go to heaven or hell?
You're going to heaven.
So all babies go to heaven, right?
I do believe so, yes.
So why doesn't everybody have abortions? Why don't we all just like kill babies because they're all going to go to heaven?
Then what's the point of living at all? That argument doesn't really make much sense.
Isn't heaven better than this world? That's what this is your logic, right?
So you're saying, okay, so why not kill everybody and send them to heaven? That's what you're saying.
This is your logic. This is your logic.
Not really. I'm not really implying to kill everybody.
Well, that's what you just said. You think that heaven is better.
I do. So, but the idea of the Christian is not everyone's going to go to heaven. The reason why, I believe babies are going to heaven is because they haven't done anything wrong. No.
Exactly. So why we can guarantee babies going to heaven by getting an abortion. So aren't you pro-abortion?
Well, then are you by that logic? You could imply that being murdering.
No. Well, I'll sacrifice, right? Doesn't Jesus like sacrificing? I'll sacrifice my eternal life for all the babies and all people that live after me. So I'll do all the killing and I'll save all these babies so they go to heaven. Under your Christian view, that's great.
Yeah, I don't. I get what you're saying, but the point of being on Earth, of course, it's tough to debate this because I believe in the Gospels.
All right, next guy. Subscribe.
Hello.
Hey, what do you got for us today?
Just first thing I'd like to say is that whole thing with the babies. I'm pretty sure this first, within the last 10 years, the Vatican or whatever godly thing they believe in, they said babies went to purgatory, but then that was too mean for the parents to believe, so they changed it. Just to put this out, if you
whatever. What's your argument for us today?
Sorry?
What do you have for us? What's your argument today?
All right. Going vegan. I don't really see it. I just like meat.
Yeah, that's not an argument, right? You're just complaining. Oh, I don't want to do it, right? Well, the reason why I'm vegan is because we are harming so many animals that don't need to be harmed, right? Now I'm vegan. Why do you think we should harm animals when we don't have to?
I like meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like meat. I know you like meat. I knew that before you said that. But what I'm asking you is what justifies it morally? Because what if I said I like to eat people? Does that mean I get to eat human meat?
That's not really the same thing, though, is it?
What's the difference?
Well, I mean, there's just a whole thing about not eating your own species.
Why not? It's meat. I like meat.
Someone said I like human meat. That's funny.
Well, this is your argument. This is your point, right? I'm using your own logic against you. Your logic is I like it, so I get to do it. I'm trying to show you that that's wrong, right? That this can lead to problems and hypocrisies.
Fair point. Okay, I'll let you have whatever.
Okay, thank you.
You hear me?
Hey, what do you got for it today?
Which one do I want to pick? I'd pick God is imaginary. I disagree. No. Why would I disagree with that? You know, I heard you use arguments such as suffering and stuff like that, right? I think for the time being, we'll just put that to the side and focus on the logical reasons of God being, God existing, right? We'll start from there, yeah? You listening? Yeah.
Hurry up.
Okay. So first of all, you need to understand. Like, let's start with our existence. Why are we here? It's you have to think of it as a sort of you have to question your existence. Why do you think we exist?
Well, when you say why,
Let's
you
look at.
are assuming that the reason.
Okay, let's look at
Maybe
history.
there is no reason.
Okay.
Maybe we just do.
Okay.
Why does God exist? Right?
Okay.
He just does.
Okay, fair enough. Let's look.
Why can't we have a reason either?
Let's look at history. Why is it that people have been living for, let's say, about 8 years to then die? Do you really think the purpose? Let's say, for example, do you really think the purpose of living is just to wake up, work, eat, sleep, repeat? Why is it that we've been created for that? Why do you think we're existing for that? Do you really think that's a good
We were not created. But look, the purpose of our existence is subjective. There's no hint or sign that there's some kind of objective reason why we're
Right,
here.
no, so
It seems to me that look. It seems to me that we live in a universe that is largely mysterious and does not care about us. Okay.
Okay.
We live on one small dot, a speck in a vast ocean of
And I would
darkness.
disagree with
It
that.
seems to me that the universe doesn't care about us.
Okay. Right.
So there doesn't seem to be a reason why we exist. We just do.
No, I wouldn't really look at I wouldn't really focus on the universe. Okay, the universe isn't God or anything. If you're assuming the universe as God, then that's fine. We'll take that. Okay. But what I'm gonna say is, we have been given guidance throughout history. Think about it. People have been coming saying, God exists. Yeah. They've been coming with books, messages. People have been coming, calling people to religion. And now what we need to look first. This is what I usually say to people when it comes to proving the existence of God. Yeah, is that we go back. Look, you've been created. Who's been creating you? Your parents. And then you go back, parents and your parents and your parents. Eventually, you just keep going and going and going and going and going. There has to be a source. Otherwise, you're just going to be infinite loop. That's not possible. We wouldn't exist otherwise. Do you understand that?
Well,
so what we say.
No, this is wrong. Well, this is
we say
wrong
there's
for
a
multiple
God,
reasons.
and we
No,
call
this
that
is
source
wrong.
God.
Look, let me explain to you why that was wrong.
Okay, go on then.
When you made the assessment that there cannot be an infinite loop, you have assumed the A theory of time, which assumes that there is a motion through time, that time passes, and that there has to be this. No. It's not that an infinite number of time had to elapse to get to this moment. That might be a wrong way of looking at the world in the first place, right? So you assume that time passes. But more importantly, you're assuming that God is required for us to exist. I'm looking for that evidence. So do you have any actual evidence for God?
Sorry, I apologize. Can you just repeat that again? I had to mute it for a second. Go on, sorry, say that again for me.
I'm sorry, sir, but I'm going to move to the next guest because if you're not going to listen to me, there's no point in talking to. Hey, what do you got?
Bro, all I want to say is that all these people that are still sleeping, and God, please, oh, and please wake.
People don't respond to that very well. Don't just say wake up. What does that mean to wake up, right? As an atheist, I would never say that to somebody. Wake up. What I would say is, why do you believe what you do? And what's your reasoning for what you believe? That's what I would ask them. I would ask them questions, not just say wake up. It's not how you change people, right?
Yo, hello.
Hey, what do you got for us today?
Yeah. So you said that God is imaginary, right? Can
Right.
you what's your definition of imaginary?
Does not exist in reality.
Okay. So you think that God has no possibility of existence in any worlds?
Depends what you mean by God. If you're talking about a square circle, I don't believe
I'm
that's
talking
possible.
about the creator of the universe.
What does that mean?
So do you think that the universe is eternal or the universe was created?
I don't know. It could be eternal.
Oh my god. So you're just gonna take the agnostic stance? Mike, if
Well,
you want to be
what's your
disingenuous,
position
that's
and
fine.
why?
But
What supports
you
your
wanna
position? What?
Okay, so do you want to like interact in a proper dialect, or are you just gonna rat and be disingenuous and say that you don't know?
I'm being honest. I don't know.
Okay.
What's more honest than
So
that?
okay, so there is a possibility, right? So if there is the possibility of the creator of the universe being created, right? Then I want to call that entity or being God. Is that fine with you?
Creation is creation ex nihilo or ex materia?
Okay, so my stance presupposes that there is a being that created all of this.
Materia or nihilo?
Oh, Mike, I don't think you're tracking the argument right. Like,
Look. What do you mean by creation? This is the problem. People say this all the time. Oh, creation. And the colloquial sense of creation, what we mean is typically, somebody producing something like a painting or an art piece. But the problem with extending this version of creation to God is you're assuming ex nihilo creation with God. You're assuming that there is a non-existence and then poof, there was existence. That's not the same thing. There's a difference between creating an art piece and creating a universe, according to your perspective. So the problem is you have to be more clear as to what you mean, because if you're going to say that creation ex nihilo is a thing, I'm not going to agree with you there. But if you're going to say creation ex materia is a thing, then I'll agree with you. But we can just posit a natural entity for that. You don't need God for anything in any supernatural sense.
Yeah, I'm not saying that like I want to name that being or entity God, if that's fine with you. So if I do, I don't think we have like any like opposing sides, I think. But do you believe in an infinite regress?
It's a logical possibility. Yeah.
It's a logical possibility. So if we're in an infinite regress, how would it be possible to be in the present?
Because there's a causal loop of A causes B, B causes A causes B, B causes A. It's a causal loop.
Yeah, okay, but how would we be in the present?
Look, because B causes A causes B. That's that. But there's another way
That's
of doing
just a
this.
tautology. Okay.
And
Go ahead.
no, it's a valid thing. A causal loop is a valid thing. Do you agree?
Yeah, okay. I'm questioning why, like,
Do
why
you
that would
agree
make
that
us into the
look? Do you
present.
agree that if B is the present, A causes B, and then B causes A? Do you agree? That's
Wait,
logical.
why would? Okay, yeah, okay. In that's disanalogous because I'm questioning. No, you're pretty presupposing that there already is a present. I'm asking why can we be in the present if there's no infinite regress?
What do you mean by infinite regress? Do you mean infinite regression in
Okay,
time
so
or
if every
space, or what do you mean?
you think that there is an uncaused cause? No. Okay, so if there is no uncaused cause, then it would just lead to an infinite regress, correct?
No, you're assuming that time passes, and this is what most theists do. They assume the theory of time. They don't
I'm
take
not theist,
relativity
I'm
into
deist.
account. The notion that there is no passing of time, that all things exist, all the space and all the time exists concurrently. They exist together. They don't exist in some kind. It's not like that we're passing through time, or that time is moving around us. It's that there's a different way of viewing reality that transcends our intuitions. You have to take into
Okay,
account
yeah.
things we barely understand, like relativity, physics, and time and space. Theists assume we know all these things. Why?
Yeah, okay, so I just want to clarify, I'm not theist, I'm deist. Second of all, that would have P if P then not P, then it would have to ascribe to classical logic. So can you tell me what modal scope we would look this through?
Oh, we have a philosophy, bro.
Go ahead, go ahead.
What photoscope is the biological, methodological, ontological
Yeah.
necessary?
Okay.
God is imaginary, but
so
I still
look-
think there's a possibility of God.
Look. I understand where you're coming from. You're trying to use philosophy to justify your belief in this uncaused cause. The problem
Correct.
is you have to go back to the drawing board and learn more science. Okay, because science deals with what's real. Okay, philosophy deals with what could be in your mind. Right? There's a big difference.
Okay.
Science. You're making scientific claims, and this is why you need to learn science. You're
Yeah,
making
so-
scientific claims about reality.
So philosophy and science can go hand in hand. It's not mutually
I
exclusive.
never said it couldn't. What I'm saying,
Yeah, okay.
however,
So what
is that-
drawing? Wait,
hold
what
on,
drawing
hold
board do I?
on. Hold on. You are making a empirical claim about reality. You're claiming that infinite regression is impossible. You're claiming that time must pass. These are empirical claims that require empirical evidence. You have not provided any for us today. You're embedded in your philosophical arguments are assumptions about reality that are empirical in nature. And it's your job to learn the science and understand the science. You have not done that. Okay. So give an actual argument or go away.
Okay. Yeah, so first of all, you stating given actual argument doesn't refute anything I've said. Second of all, do
did
you
not
believe in
give
the
an
wait, okay,
argument
okay,
that
can I
is
explain? Okay,
substantiated
you
by
pray for
any-
me. Okay, Mike, can I go ahead? Thank you. So, do you believe in the laws of the laws of thought to be true? I'm guessing so,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, so do you think that the God, so you're an agnostic atheist, I'm assuming? Correct? Hello?
Yeah, in regards to some gods, yeah.
Okay, so do you know you're aware of the deist definition of a god, so like the creator of the universe that doesn't like really interact with his creation.
So I
So
think that no definition of God is properly defined. There's something called an igtheist, which I would suggest I am in many regards, that gods are ill-defined, all gods. They're just words.
they're just words. That's a great
Yeah,
refutation. I
God's
haven't
just a
I haven't
word
heard of that
that's
one.
poorly defined.
Yeah, okay, so what's wrong with the deist definition of a god?
It's not does not make scientific or logical sense.
Why doesn't it make it?
What's creation? What's omnipotence? What's omniscience? What are these things?
You don't know what creation is. Also, I'm not arguing omniscience or omnipotence.
So what
So,
do
like-
you believe? What kind of God do you believe in? It's
Okay,
just
so
the
wait, so
universe?
do you know what the definition of a creator is?
No.
Do you know what
tell
the
me.
action? So, yeah, God or this entity has the property of creation. You know what that is?
No.
I have the property to walk. Okay. Do you understand now? So
Yeah,
if
what's
this
creation?
being, okay, so if I can create a painting, right? Let's use your analogy. So I can create a painting, okay? The same way as, not the same way, but the God that I'm thinking of, which is a being, can create the universe. Why? What's so incoherent about
Oh,
that?
so there's something that precedes God, and God's just assembling things like a painting.
Yeah, why do I presuppose that? Go ahead.
So you agree that there's something before God that God uses to assemble?
No, No, why? Why do I imply that? Go
That's
ahead.
that's directly analogous to a painting. That's what a painter does. The painting pre-existed the painter. The painter just took stuff that was already there and assembled them into a painting.
Oh my God, you're not looking at the analogy correctly. You're looking at it from an inner modal scope. So
Oh, the inner modal scope. Okay.
yes, yes. I mean, do you know? Wait,
That's not an argument.
wait. Just to know that you're tracking, do you know like anything about like modal logic?
Yeah. Now, do you have an actual argument that
Okay,
justifies that there's a
okay.
creation?
I know you're so eager, Mike, and I'm here. I was sent by this being that created the universe to, you know, brighten your eyes.
Well, they're very dark. Next.
Yo, hello.
How old are you?
Can I just like talk real quick, please?
Next. Have a good day.
How you doing,
Hey, what do you
sir?
got? Great.
About God.
Go ahead. Whatever you got.
I
Let's hear
think
it.
the evidence is the belief system and how massive it is.
So you think that because many people believe what I believe, that means it's
Well,
true?
it's not many, it's the like a global majority.
Okay. So the majority of people believe this thing, therefore X is true?
It exists. It exists. So like
So if the majority of people believe in Allah, that means Allah exists.
I think Allah could be a form of God,
Okay.
indicative of a
If
specific
a
culture.
if a majority of people believe the earth is flat, does that make the earth flat?
That doesn't. I mean, like it would make it a belief system if the majority of people believed it. It wouldn't
But would it
necessarily
make
mean.
would it make it true?
But you said God is imaginary.
It seems to me to be imaginary, yeah, based on your definitions of it.
No. So the point I was making is its existence kind of like contradicts the idea that it's imaginary. It's a belief system.
I know you believe it, sir. I'm asking you how you know it's true, right? Like, how do you know that God's real?
A belief system is absence. Fact is faith based.
Fact is faith.
No, it's not. Fact is proven. Faith is absent. Fact.
Wait, no, I'm repeating what you just said.
There's no need to have faith in a fact because it can be learned and understood. Faith is
Okay,
absent.
great.
Fact is a belief.
So what is the evidence of God?
The evidence is the amount of people that believe in it, create the existence of it.
Okay, great. What amount of people have to believe in something for it to be true?
Well, an undeniable amount. Why is that?
Okay, I'm gonna try it one more time with you.
Oh,
How
okay.
many people have to believe in something for it to be true? What's the number? 1 million, 1,000, 10, 20?
Why do you assume there has to be a number?
You did, sir. You did. Oh man. Oh man. Keep tapping, guys, and please subscribe.
Hello.
Hey, what do you got for us today?
God is imaginary. If God is imaginary, can you prove that God isn't imaginary? How is God imaginary?
No, I'm just you're saying that God is this magic man who made everything from clay, and I'm saying I don't believe that. I'm saying that that doesn't make sense to me, scientifically, logically, etc. It doesn't seem to me that your God is real. And there's reasons why. I can go into that, but your job is to provide evidence for your God.
You're right. There's reasons to contradict one thing or the other, but there's also reasons not to contradict. So there's also evidence of a God, just like there's evidence that there might not be a God. But what I'm asking you to
Okay.
do is to prove that God is indeed imaginary.
It all depends on what you mean by God. Right? What do you mean? Which God do you believe in?
Not anyone particularly, but it depends. It's just
Well, then I don't know what you mean. Look. If you don't know what you believe in, I can't debunk it, right? What do you believe in? And so I can debunk it. I can debunk it. I can probably debunk your belief. I'm going to tell you that. But can you show it? Can you tell me what it is?
I mean, it doesn't have to be tied to a belief system. Just because I believe in a God.
Okay. Have a good day. That's what a belief system is. You believe in a being, a God. That's a belief system.
I love you, Mike. You're my favorite person on the planet. Have a great day.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Not even joking.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Do I believe in George Washington? I do, because we have evidence for him. We have his body, we have his teeth, we have his weapons, we have his documentation, we have his signature, we have his birth certificate, we have sculptures, we have paintings, coins with his face on it. We have so much evidence for him. It's not even funny. It'd be ridiculous to deny he existed.
Hey,
Hello? Hey, what do you got for us today?
do you believe an atom created the universe?
How old are you?
I'm 16.
Atoms, that's not what the Big Bang says. The Big Bang is not saying atom made the universe at
Hello?
all. Hey, what do you got?
Yeah. So you're saying God is imaginary. So do you believe God is imaginary on the basis of lack of logical reasoning or on the basis of empirical evidence?
Both.
Both. Okay. So, in this world that we reside in, right? Is it based on a cause and effect relationship or something else?
Well, when we invoke the notion of cause and effect or laws of physics, those are things that we use to describe the universe.
Mhm.
The universe doesn't seem to follow specific laws. The universe just is.
So
And
can you give me an example of something that does not follow the law, the cause and an effect relationship?
nothing necessarily follows cause and effect. Right? Cause and effect, again, is a descriptor for how we think things operate. Cause and effect is emergent, not necessarily fundamental.
No, it's fundamental, right? Because that's how we base our scientific laws, right?
No,
scientifically,
there is no fundamental law that says
yes,
must
Newton's
occur.
laws, Newton's laws of emotion, laws of motion, right? For every action, there's a reaction. That's a law.
But Einstein's relativity shows that
That doesn't.
motion is relative.
Yeah, but Einstein's theory of relativity does not deny Newton's laws of motion, right?
Right,
All of
but the problem is that cause and effect hinges on Einstein's relativity being false. But now we know that it's true. Relativity is true.
Yeah, but
That
relativity
time
doesn't.
is relative. So
how does
now we know that cause and effect is not fundamental necessarily.
it is fundamental because it does not deny Einstein's theory of relativity, right? It does not deny it. Nor does Einstein
You're not understanding. Relativity utterly challenges the notion of cause and effect being a fundamental phenomenon.
How so?
Einstein's relativity shows us that time doesn't pass absolutely. Time does not pass in any objective sense. It's a relative sense.
Yeah, but that does not deny that time exists.
I agree, time exists, but
So
it's not necessarily this passing thing where there's a cause and effect that it must follow.
No, it does. It does. Because look.
Okay, great. And what scientific law says there has to be cause and effect where in which time passes? What law is that?
That time has to pass?
Yeah, what law is that?
Time exists. We know this.
Look, sir. Look, what law of physics says that time has to pass objectively?
What do you mean time has to pass? Time passes. That's a
You're,
that,
look,
that's a
the entire. You don't. I don't think you understand what you're arguing here for.
no. You
You're
don't understand.
arguing
You're trying.
for a fundamental phenomenon called cause and effect. That idea hinges on the fact that time passes. So if you can point me to that law of physics that says time passes, then you
No,
can.
it
we have
doesn't
an
hinge on
argument.
the time on time passes. Where'd you get that from?
From the fact that cause and effect must include time passing.
Okay, so you deny that time passes?
Yes, Einstein did
No,
too.
no,
Relativity shows it doesn't pass.
Einstein's theory of relativity does not deny that time passes, right? Einstein's relativity, all it states is that everything is subjective to its environment, where it presides in, right? For example, if I have a ball in my hand and I'm stationary and I throw the ball up, the ball is going to come right back down to me. But if I'm sitting in a car that's driving 40 miles, or I'm running 40 miles per hour or 20 miles per hour, whatever it is, and I throw a ball up, that ball is not going to land back in my hand. It's going to land behind me. However, if I sit inside of a car, right, that's going 20 miles per hour and I throw that ball up,
Yeah,
it
you.
comes back into my hand. That's Einstein's theory of relativity, that everything is relative to its environment, right? It does not deny that time exists or time.
No, your examples were not correct. But look, it doesn't matter.
So
The
show me
point
where
is,
my examples is flawed.
because relativity has nothing to do with a specific situation of moving a motion, moving a ball. It has to do with the fact that there is no objective.
No, it's relative.
There's
right?
no objective reference frame. for
Yes,
things.
exactly. Objective reference frame, right? So depending on where you're residing
Yeah,
in, right?
then this completely challenges the notion of a objective reference frame for cause and effects.
No, it doesn't. No, there is one objective. There is one long.
Okay,
time frame.
great. So then
Let me explain.
what caused the universe?
What's
and
that?
what was the moment?
What's that?
So then where is the objective cause of everything when that's not possible?
So the objective cause is if we follow a regression model, we will know we'll come to a point of original creation, right? Where everything expanded from. Yes, that is a
No,
time frame.
that's not the Big Bang. Again, you're wrong
How so?
again. The Big Bang does not say that there was a one point where everything expanded from at all.
Yeah, the Big Bang points to a point called a point of unity, the point where
No.
How
Look,
so?
the Big Bang.
Yeah.
It does not say that there was a single point where something exploded from. What
Mhm.
it says is that all points in the universe are expanding away from each other, right? All
Yeah.
points. The Big Bang happened where you're standing. The Big Bang happened everywhere. It doesn't happen
No,
at
no,
one
no.
point.
No. You're misunderstanding, right? We are part of the Big Bang in the sense that we are into this universe, right? That's part of the Big Bang. We were not there at the conception of the Big Bang, right? Well, you can say our atoms, the animals, the things that are fundamentally that create us, right? We're there,
Yeah.
present.
Okay.
But that does not mean that we were there in consciousness there. No, Big Bang does refer to the exact point of unity or singularity where the original cause was.
No, there was no cause necessarily. There's no one cause for the
Yes.
Big Bang.
Yes, there
No.
is.
What was
Yes,
what
there
was
is.
the cause?
God. He was He's an
Look,
external
look,
being
look.
that's independent of this universe.
Yeah, you can't just say God and pretend you did something. You're just saying a word, right?
No.
If I said snuffleupagus, look,
I'm not
hold
just saying
on,
a word.
sir.
I'm defining God.
Hold on. You're defining God by your own definition, which does not make sense scientifically. There
Yeah, it
was
does.
no one point that everything expanded from or the universe was caused in. That's not how the Big Bang worked. You're
I think you.
Big Bang means, and then you're on top of that assuming God did it with no reason.
No.
right?
I think you have misunderstanding of the Big Bang. You don't know what Big Bang is at all, and you're just spouting whatever you think it is, right? You don't understand what you're talking about. The Big Bang refers to a point of singularity where everything comes from, right? And it's based on the fundamental facts of science, which is cause and
No.
effect.
No, the singularity is something that scientists are moving away from. The singularity is not an object. It's not a point.
Yeah.
It is something that we no longer
It's an event.
care about in Big Bang cosmology.
It's an event. It's a point of time.
No, it's
Yes,
not.
scientists
Singularity
are-
is not.
No. There is no
singularity
scientist. There is no scientist.
The singularity is not a point in time. It is a mathematical descriptor for where all of our knowledge ends, where all of our scientific understanding of things end, where relativity ends.
And that mathematical
It is
equation, what
not
is
an
it dependent
object.
upon?
It's not time. It is just a word that
In the
describes
mathematical sense,
our
where is it?
ignorance about the universe.
In the mathematical sense, what is the independent variable and the dependent variable?
What?
You said it's a mathematical equation, correct?
No, now you're not listening. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sir. Look, I applaud the guest for coming in and trying his best to talk about these big ideas. It's great. I applaud him for that. The problem is that none of us are scientists here, number one. But number two, we don't know much about the universe. And I'm sorry, but talking about these big ideas, the Big Bang, what caused it in regression, these are things that none of us can really answer. We just don't know. And trying to squeeze your God into this equation, I think is wrong. It's wrong. We can't just fill in all the gaps of our knowledge with God, right? If we don't understand something, we shouldn't just say God did it. We should say, we don't know, but let's try to find out. That's all. But I applaud you for asking these big questions. They are big questions, and it's good that you're pondering them. But don't assume that there is something that you don't know, because that's dishonesty.
Hey, hello. Hey, so you just contradicted yourself twice. You said that you're not a scientist, but you're explaining these scientific theories and methods like you are an expert. So that's first of all. And then second of all, you're saying that we don't know if God does.
Yeah. So I don't
There
look.
are, like,
We don't
things
have to
that
be
God does know.
scientists. Look, I never said that you have to be a scientist to know something. What I said was to the point of this debate or talk that we just had, none of us don't have expertise in this specific area, so we cannot.
Right. So why did you shut?
We cannot
so,
claim to know things we
so
don't
why
know
did you shut him down?
about that specific. Hold on, about that specific topic. However, I am scientifically literate, and anybody can be. You don't have to be a scientist to understand
Right.
science.
Yeah. So why
All
did
of
you shut
us
him
have a
down?
responsibility to understand science as much as we
So
can.
why did you shut him down as if you were an expert? Because you claimed
I
yourself.
never shut him
Yeah,
down.
you did. You kicked him out.
What I said was he was wrong for saying it must have been God, because that he does not know
Well,
for
yeah,
sure.
the burden is on you to prove that he is wrong instead of just kicking. Which, by the way, I want to.
No, the burden is on the person who's making the positive
Well,
claim.
he was trying to until he kicked him. Which, by the way, I want to tell everyone that he is a scientist.
Okay,
actually.
great. So then, what's
Well,
the evidence that
yeah.
God caused
Okay,
everything?
before I get into that, Ranch is my friend actually, and he is a scientist. So I just want to get that out of the way. So, Mike, you're wrong. And second of all, I want you to explain.
Where
to
am I
me-
wrong? Where am I wrong? Show it.
Okay,
Demonstrate.
we're gonna debate right now. Okay, you are saying that there is no possible way that God exists, right? There's no good,
No.
there's no good
No,
definition of God.
I never said
You're
that.
saying that.
What I'm saying is that there are specific definitions of God that can't exist, like the one that the Christians claim exists.
Okay.
The one that is all loving but allows evil or causes evil. That I think is a contradictory. But no, I cannot debunk every possible notion of a God.
Okay, can you find a flaw with the Islamic God?
I think there is a problem with the free will and omniscience paradox. I think there's a problem with.
That's every Abrahamic religion, then. So you just have so you have an issue with the Abrahamic religions.
I think they're completely ridiculous.
Okay,
Yes.
go ahead. Okay,
there
let's-
are Quranic reasons why the Allahs are not real. I think that the Quran is wrong. If Muslims claim that the Quran is infallible, and we can point out to several errors within the book, I think that's a reason why that God does not exist.
Okay, go ahead. What's your issue with God? What's your biggest issue with God? You mentioned that there's the what? What is it? The problem of evil? Is that your?
Yeah, if God is all loving, why does evil exist?
Okay, Well, let me ask you this. What do you think is the purpose of us being here? Go ahead. I want to hear this. What's the
There doesn't need to be a, why does there have to be
yeah,
a purpose?
see, okay,
Purpose.
exactly. Here's the thing, right?
You're
You say that
no
you're an
no
atheist. Atheists have no explanation why that, we're
neither
here.
do you. Neither do
No, no,
you.
yes I
You
do.
don't have an
Yes I
explanation
do.
either.
Yes I do.
What's your explanation? Why are we here?
The reason that we are here is to worship God,
And why is God there?
to be worshipped,
And why does he have to be worshipped?
because he is all powerful. He's worthy of worship. Let me ask you this: why would he
Why?
not be?
Why?
Okay, so you're
Why?
saying so you're saying
Why? Why is he worthy of
okay.
worship? Because he just exists.
No, because he's all powerful and he created us and he created everything and he created good and he created bad and
But
everything.
why does he need? Why? Why does God exist?
Because we're what do you call it? We're dependent on him.
Why?
What do you,
Why are
because
we?
he
Why is
created
God
us.
independent?
He's independent because he's self-sufficient. He
But
doesn't
why
need
does?
anything
But
or
why does he
anyone.
exist? Why does he exist in the first place?
He exists because he is the creator,
But what's his
right?
purpose? What's his
And if
purpose?
you
What's his purpose? What's his purpose for existing?
his purpose is because he is the creator. He's a self-sufficient creator. Let me ask you this: why is the idea? No, hang on. Oh, yeah, you see, you're laughing because you have no idea. Look, why is
The reason I'm laughing is because the same
Tell me why,
problem
tell
you
me why.
hold on. The same problem you invoked. You said that, Mike, you don't have a purpose because you're an atheist. And then I asked you, what's God's purpose? And you said, well, he just exists. He wants to worship. He wants us to worship him. Well, I'm sorry, sir, but the same thing that you can do, I can do for the universe.
No, you
You
can't.
ask me, why does the universe exist? I can say, well, because it just does exist.
Okay, you're
And we're both in the same boat. You don't actually have answers. You just have opinions. And I understand that you have opinions, and so do we. But the problem is that you're making a specific claim that you have answers, but you don't. And that's where the dishonesty comes in. So go ahead and give us evidence-based arguments
honest
for
by
that.
saying that the universe is your God, because how could it be that it's God? When first of all, you don't have any scientific evidence for the universe even being eternal or infinite or self-sufficient in the first place. So you're taking a stance that isn't even scientifically backed.
Well,
And
I
second of
never
all,
said that. When did I ever say the universe must be eternal?
you said that the universe is your God and that it's infinite.
I never said it's my God. I never said that.
Well, you
Stop being
said that. Okay,
disingenuous.
is the universe infinite then? Go ahead, let me
I
hear.
don't know. I don't know.
Okay, so you don't know. So you're taking a stance of saying that God, there's no way God exists. But then at the same time, you're saying, well, actually, I don't know if the universe was always there. I actually don't have the. I
Well,
actually don't have the
okay.
answer.
Here's an example. Do you
Can
think
can everyone in the chat spell contradiction?
here? Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
Do you think a married bachelor could ever exist?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you think a married bachelor could ever exist?
English isn't my first language. What's a bachelor?
Okay. It's a person who's unmarried.
Can someone who's married also be unmarried?
Yeah.
Nah, that's just semantics. What do you mean?
It's a contradiction, right? It can't exist, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The same thing. The same kind of thing applies to God, right? If you say that God is all loving, but then you say that God causes evil, that's a contradiction to me. And that's why we can say that certain gods can't exist.
Okay.
You understand? Do you understand now what a
okay.
contradiction means?
Okay, so you're saying that just because someone can be capable of doing evil, and that they're also capable of doing good, then that must mean that they're evil.
Well, does God do? Does God cause evil? Is God all loving?
God isn't all loving. No, God doesn't love murderers, and God doesn't love people who do,
Okay.
harmful things.
Is God all good?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Then why does evil exist in this world? Gratuitous evils, things like that we don't control. Why do those evils exist if God is all good?
Okay, so this is what I was trying to get at. So we have free will, right? Do you know what the purpose of our life here on, our purpose on earth is.
Yeah.
It's
Do you know what
first of all worship
do you know what
him, and
gratuitous
second of all,
means?
when you do worship God, you do things that
All
are
right. I thought he was a bit more mature, but it seems like he's not. Gratuitous means unnecessary, and it seems to me that there's no reason why there's certain evils to exist, whether or not we have free will.
Hey,
Hey, what do you got?
hey, what's up, Mike? How are you doing?
Great. What do you got for us today?
So I see you have something here that says God is imaginary, and then you're saying evolution is fact, but then you're saying go vegan.
Right.
So, what's your premise
For what?
for the three claims that I just read?
The evidence behind the claims?
No,
Um,
no, no. The
what do you want me to
premise.
start?
The premise is in like, what is your in a simple format? What makes you think God is imaginary? What makes you think
There's no
you have
evidence.
to
There's
go?
no evidence.
So what makes you think you have to go vegan? And what
I don't
makes you
want to harm
think
animals.
evolution is a fact, man?
The evidence.
Okay, and this is a beautiful thing, right? So you believe in evolution because of evidence, but you don't believe in God because there's no evidence. But how can you deem something worth evidence if you never know it? Or if you never knew it?
Show me the evidence. If you have evidence, I'd love to see it.
So it depends, right? Because evidence can be used for multiple things, right? By evidence, you
Sir,
mean physically seeing something.
sir, do you have evidence for God?
I'm gonna be honest, I definitely do. It's called the
Great.
Word of
What
God,
is it?
right? Have you
What
ever
is it?
read the
What's the
book?
evidence?
Have you ever read the book? Have you ever looked at where? Wait, let's think about
The
this,
Bible?
right? Have you ever read the book?
Which one? The Bible?
Yeah.
I
Have
read
you
it.
ever
It's
read like a
mythology.
Bible front to back?
Yes, it's mythology. Talking snakes, talking donkeys. Those stuff never happened.
So this is the beautiful thing about a creator and about the landmarks and about the places, the historical places that were named in the Bible that still exist to this day. A lot of prophecies, but we're not even gonna get to that, right? We're just gonna stick to one topic. I'm gonna stick to one topic, which God is imaginary, and then we'll go down the list. Cause you're pretty cool, man. I'm not here to be emotional or nothing. I really want to have a genuine conversation. You seem like an honest guy, so let's talk, right? So honestly, right, I think that when it comes to understanding, whenever you're saying God is imaginary, I think you have to understand everything you've almost done in your life is basically imaginary, and we have to kind of understand you have an imagination, right?
Yeah, when I say, what do you mean everything I'd done was imaginary? So me making
So
this
let's
TikTok is
no no no
imaginary?
no. So this is the thing, right? You kind of have to understand that when you think about your dreams or something you plan on doing later on in the day, you're imagining something that you hope is going to happen. That you have.
Yeah, so I look, I
Let
agree.
me get to my point. Let me.
It's bad. I already know where you're going. Okay. You're trying to say that we imagine things and we make them happen. Like I imagine, driving a car and I do it. Therefore, we all imagine it. That's ridiculous. It's not even remotely analogous to the God thing. Because number one, God does not act in the physical reality that we live in. But also, God is not even a well-defined idea. It's a conglomeration of all kinds of egotistical notions that we've invented
You said
that don't
egotistical
seem to
notions.
correlate to anything real at
Wait,
all.
wait. So you're
It doesn't even seem to be logically consistent as a notion. Multiple issues with saying, well, God is in our mind. He
but
exists
this
because
is
he's in our minds.
but
That's
you just
something that
used the word logic, right? Which you said logically, right? Where do you think this knowledge comes from?
the
Honestly,
brain.
like, of course, you learn things, right? But where does this morality, where's this standard that's set in your life for you? That you,
Experience
I wouldn't say
experience and understanding.
experience. I feel like there's certain things you didn't experience that you have in your morality, and it's not
Well,
because
it's
you
not
experienced
just, I
it.
agree, it's not just experience, it's also learning through others,
No, not also
information.
learning through others. When you were born, when you even had an idea of what certain things were, and certain people said things that didn't align with you, that's not learning from other people. You have to understand that things like morality, right? Where
Look,
does that come from, right?
the
When we
limbic
when we
system of the
talk
brain.
about
Look, our brains have evolved to be empathetic. That's how we are as human beings, just like other mammals, just like monkeys and dogs and pigs and chickens. All these different types of animals have developed something called empathy in the brain, which are responsive to the environments, right? And that's why we have it in our minds to a degree as babies. And then on top of that, we learn about each other as we grow, and we develop empathy, ethics, and morality. That's how ethics evolves. We're not just born with our ethical frameworks. That's something that builds as we live.
I think it's something that hello. I think that's something that's instilled in you. I don't believe morality is just something that you only learn through experience and from other people. There's just things in life that you'll hear that had no experience in your life ever that you'll just naturally disagree with in your heart. And that's your
Like, give an example.
So for example, right? Before you even seen it on the news, if someone was to ever do something like I don't want to say certain words because you know TikTok guidelines. So what am I able to say again? You hello?
Just
say it. Hey, all right. Just
no, don't just
So let's say let's imagine, right?
rape.
You hear no.
Like raping.
No. I say something like a school.
Okay.
School.
Yeah. Okay.
You know.
Yeah,
Like I
the
don't want to
reason
say.
why the moment you say that I can recognize that as wrong is because I understand that anybody getting hurt or killed that way is wrong in the first place, and I can use my logic, I can use my brain to go, wait a minute, if children are being that way, it's wrong as well, right? It's basic logic. Ethical frameworks can utilize logic to extrapolate to other scenarios. We don't have to just experience everything. I never said that.
And I never said you did, but what I'm saying is morality is instilled in you. It's something that's given to you. It's within you. It's not even about, of course, you may learn other things from other people to add to your own personal morality, but you do have to understand that morality exists, right? And to say you're an atheist, right, which when you don't believe in anything, right? So 9 times out of 10, you're saying
No,
evolution.
that's not. No, you are.
From what I heard the other guy on the last live with you and him argue.
Stop. I don't believe in nothing. That's not what an atheist believes in. Okay. I believe in facts that can be supported with evidence. Morality is not something that you're born with in the sense that every belief I have about my ethical framework is something I was born with. Not at all. We are born with the equipment. We are born with the precursors to having an ethical framework. The ethical framework and all of our ethical beliefs are instilled into us through our society and through our environments. Okay, but the equipment that allowed us to have the ethics was something we evolved to have.
So
And
then this
is
is where
perfectly compatible within an atheistic framework. You don't need God for morality. If this is where you're going.
because you say a society, right? Where does the society come from? Where do the people come from? Where has life came from?
Life comes from non-life, which is a fact.
Oh my goodness! There's no way.
What do you think life
believe
is?
so you
Wait,
believe in
what do you think?
abiogenesis? That's what you're saying? You believe in abiogenesis?
There is
So
lots
you
of evidence for it.
Wait. This is hilarious. This is hilarious. This is the one thing I love about science, right? And you want to know what the
No, you're not going to ramble. Look, you're going to listen. Life is not an object. Life is a process. So when we say life, what we mean is not an object. What we mean is a process, a biochemical process that is governed by physical laws. So life absolutely comes from life. It can come from because life is a process. It is something that non-life does. So I know you want to sit there and go, oh, you're wrong because you believe in abiogenesis. But abiogenesis is a widely supported hypothesis that contains tons of evidence. I mean, we can take a look at the organic chemistry going on in RNA and DNA and all these things. We know that there's no body required to make something living
Okay.
It's called chemistry,
So
complex
I
chemistry.
would say it like this. I think
So
that is
please
absurd.
give evidence for God.
I want to be honest. I think that is completely absurd to just make a claim or an absolutism with no actual physical proof or evidence. I think I've actually taken a look at a few things on abiogenesis, and if I'm being quite honest, just because you run an experiment with a controlled group, right, does not determine what the rest of the life is, right? So we have to
Sir,
understand.
you're rambling. I don't even know what you're
We're
saying at this
that
point.
non-life. What
You
you
just
said.
look. You have no idea what you're
You
talking
just
about.
said.
We
You
can
said
tell. Look, sir, we can tell you have no idea. Look, I'm not trying to be rude here, but I'm trying to point out something. You don't know what you're talking about. You know what the Miller-Urey experiment was? Do you know what amyloids are? Do you know what the polymerization of
like
RNA
I
is?
just
Do you,
clearly
know-
stated.
do you
Like
know?
I just clearly
Do you
stated.
know what? Do you know what the volcano in a bottle experiment is? Do you know? Do you know anything about abiogenesis?
So right, those experiments are all tiny things.
No,
Those are
no, no,
things
no,
that you
sir.
can
Do you know
actually do.
anything? Do you know
Those are
anything?
things you can actually
Abiogenesis?
do. Those are things that the
What
things
do
that
you
you just
know?
named.
Okay,
Wait. This is the beauty.
please listen. Please listen. You're very energetic. I like it, but just listen for a second. Demonstrate one thing you know about abiogenesis scientifically. Go.
So, like I said, I only read some of it, and as I was reading, right, we have to understand that the biggest
Sir,
thing it was
give me one
stating that
example of something you know about
you ready?
abiogenesis. Go.
Non-life comes into life. That's what it's basically trying to tell you. That non-life created life. That's what
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry, but I can't debate somebody who claims to know things they don't know. Okay. I guarantee you. By the way, guys, on my YouTube channel, I actually have a video about abiogenesis, and it goes into great detail about it. It is widely supported by evidence. There are hundreds of studies, and I actually give multiple studies on abiogenesis. It's not bogus. It is real good science. And there's lots of people on here, out there that are working on it. And unfortunately, you don't know anything about it. So it's your moment to learn. Learn, guys. Read, learn. That's why I'm here, to make you understand that there is another way of seeing the world through science, through the natural world around you. Hey, what do you got?
How you doing, man? I think what that guy was trying to say about abiogenesis, that just because something was, came from non-life, like in a controlled laboratory, does not mean that it happened in the natural world. I think that's where he was trying to get his point to. What would you have to say to that, Mike?
Well, we can replicate the natural world. And that's what we do. We actually have polymerized RNA in a natural world with clay minerals. Clay happens to, because there's phosphates in clay, they happen to actually catalyze the reactions to polymerize RNA. And this is something that happens in nature. So it's not like, I'm not saying that we have replicated life in a lab, but what I am saying is that we have good reasons to think that naturally we can get living things from non-living things. And that's the amyloid experiment I just explained to you. There's lots of evidence of this. There's the RNA, and like I said, RNA based on phosphates in clay. This is another experiment we've done. I can go on with experiments that
Yeah.
are naturally that are replicated in nature.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who are skeptical on that would have to see, those tests and proofs. But I'm just saying that's the thought process.
They could do that. They could do that. They choose not to because they just want to believe in God. They don't want to take the time to learn. That's the problem with these guys.
And yeah, I'm totally fine with that. Looking into, just tests and cases and articles and that. But would you be open to the possibility that God is real? Are you open
What do
to
you
that?
mean
Or?
by God? God means a million different things to a million different people. What do you mean by God?
You know, the God who created the universe. I'm talking about the God.
And what do you mean by creation?
The existence, everything we're experiencing, energy.
What do you mean by creation? How does something get created?
Well, the fact that every inch of the universe is riddled with math and fractals. That's what I'm talking about.
So there's math in my hand.
Well, if you break it down, it's like a literal matrix, sir.
Okay, so you think the world is the matrix, and what's your evidence to this?
So, well, you would have to falsify, have a defeater to the false belief. If it's not riddled with math and fractals, then you would have to show me a defeater to that false belief.
No, I'm not saying it's impossible that we're made of math. I'm saying I don't even mean I want to know if there's evidence for
So
that.
it
Your
would.
job is to demonstrate that claim, right? Your job is to demonstrate that there is math in the real world. I think math is a language, and it's an emergent property of like a mind, right? I don't think that math exists in reality. I think it's just a mind dependent thing.
Okay, well, you know, you look at nature, and there's, you know, I'm talking about fractals, which are, you know, they're patterns that have to do with math, like leaves, the galaxy, the golden ratio, etc. The list goes on, and I'm saying, you know, because humans, you would agree, right? We didn't make up math; we discovered it, right?
I would disagree. I think that math is something that our minds do. And when we observe patterns in the world around us, it is appealing to look at the patterns and go, oh, look, there must be some reason or rhyme behind the patterns. Look, flowers resemble galaxies and resemble people and resemble shit stains. The problem is that our brains want to do that from the beginning. We want to look for patterns. Our brains are pattern seeking machines. So before we suggest that the shit stains match the galaxies, let's be cautious. Let's recognize that our brains are fallible, that we make mistakes, that we don't know the true nature of reality, and that, you know, we might never know.
Okay, so basically, if you're saying if you see patterns in the real world, fractals that look like math formulas, you're just going to assume that it's an illusion, that our brains are just.
No, I'm going to assume that we don't know the answer. What I'm going to say is perhaps that is an illusion. Perhaps that is the product of some illusion of the brain. That's what I would suggest. I would never just say, oh, I see a pattern, therefore that means there is a reason for this, that there's a God. I would never do that. That's what you're doing. I'm saying, hold on a minute. Maybe there's something deeper here that defies our intuitions about these things.
Right, and it's not just that, you know, it's not like, oh, you know, I see patterns, therefore, you know, like that's the only reason why I believe in God. But there's many other reasons, you know, philosophy reasons, just personal reasons, and I know you probably don't like personal stories.
Hello.
Falafel. Hey, what do you got?
Hello. What do I got? Is what you said?
Yep.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, I understood you, man. Yeah. So God, it just blows my mind, man. How I just don't understand how you're a vegan yet you don't believe in like a good moral compass, as in you don't believe in God, but you're vegan. Like those things just don't coincide to me. I don't understand. So you're vegan. You portray to be this good guy, you know, you're not killing animals, you're not unaliving these species. However, you don't believe in an all good creator of the world. I don't understand, man. Can you explain?
Well, I don't need a God to have morality.
I don't understand How
Are
do
you
you
saying
not
that?
need
Are
a
you
God
saying to me
to?
that you need a magic man in the
Absolute. Well,
sky to tell you
the
how to live your life and treat other people correctly?
the thing is, God loves us, man. So the thing is, you being a vegan, you portray to be this great guy, Mike, but you slander God, dude. Like I don't,
Well, God, if it
because
exists,
being vegan is a good thing. It's a
is
great
the
thing.
biggest hypocritical maniac there is. He flooded the entire planet and killed babies.
But it was
I
for a
would
good
say that
cause,
that's
though,
not a
Mike.
good
If
thing.
you understood that,
What?
it was for a good cause. The flood was for a good, greater good. It was
Oh,
the
so there is a reason why God killed babies.
well, so it was actually to dissipate all the evil that was in the world. Because when Adam and Eve did what they did, they brought sin into this world, and all the humans were doing bad things. So he wanted to flood that and get rid of it, so they can start anew and start fresh. Do you understand that, Mike?
Oh, what a
It was for
moral, what a
good.
moral angel God is. Why didn't he just fix the problem from the get-go? Why didn't he just make it better from the first place? Why did he make us in this fucked up world where we fucked up? Why didn't he just make us good from the get-go?
Because he gave us free will to choose good and evil. Do you understand?
Yeah, but does God have free will?
Does God have free will? I would say yes.
Does God ever do wrong or evil?
God does not do wrong or evil. He only does good. But he
Great.
he chooses to do good.
So then we can have free will but never do wrong. Why didn't God just do that for us? Why didn't God make us good so that we never do wrong?
That's not humanly possible.
It's not possible to be good-natured and never do wrong?
It's not being human. It's not possible the way God created us to only do good. Do you understand that? He gave us free will. He gave us a
Yeah,
choice.
so that means God caused us to do evil, right? That's the entire problem, right? The entire problem is that God designed us to be bad. He could have just designed us to be good.
So, aside from your logical preferences, aside from your logic, like, is there another reason why you don't believe in God? Like, did something happen in your life, man, that just
I went to
made
school.
you
I got educated.
you got educated, like in science and in what?
Mm-hmm.
How
Science, math,
how does
physics.
science make God unlikely? I'd love, please, man, please.
Well, when your entire religion says and claims that the entire universe inhabits maybe like this planet and the sky, and we look at the universe and it defies that entire story. When your Bible says that there's an Adam and Eve which never existed, when it says that there's a big fucking flood that never happened, those are good reasons to deny the beliefs in the story, right? And science utterly demolishes those stories. And facts don't care about your story or your feelings. The fact is, Noah's Ark never happened.
Is there
And
proof that never happened?
Yep.
Well, because Mike, they've actually found pieces of Noah's Ark, and they've found history of a flood. It's.
Oh, really? Where did they find the ark?
Would you
What's
like
the
the source
archaeological
for it?
evidence of this?
Would you like the source for it?
Sure.
I can DM you later for the source for it, but
Do it now. Show us the source now.
I just pull it up on Google and then you put me on the big screen, or how does that work? I don't know how to TikTok. I don't get on TikTok much.
Go ahead, Google it, and give us the source so I can look it up right now.
Okay. When I prove you wrong, can you admit you're wrong and that I was right?
Sure.
And you'll
Sure, of
believe
course.
you'll believe
Of
God
course.
at that point?
Of course. And when you can't find it, will you concede that you actually are lying out of your ass?
If I can't find it, which I won't, because I know for sure that they have found Noah's Ark, I will tell you that I was wrong. Okay.
Okay,
But
go
you
find it. You're
can't
wasting time. Go find
disprove-
it.
But the thing is, Mike, you can't disprove the Christian God with science. It's impossible.
Sure, we can. God, your God is too dumb to exist. Why
See-
would
see,
your
that-
God?
now you're
Why would your
insulting
God
God.
design our bodies?
There's no need to
such
insult
that
God to disprove
we,
his existence.
sir. Why would your God design our bodies such that we choke on our food? Why would he design us to get
That's
cancer and
just
disease and
natural,
allergies?
dude. What do you mean?
that makes more sense under naturalism, where that's just nature having things happen. It wouldn't make sense for an engineer to engineer us allergies.
Does it make sense? The human eyeball is the most complex part of the universe. So when you look at the human eyeball,
No, it's not, sir. Do you know that a hawk's eye can see like thousands of times further than we can?
And what are the odds of that? What are the odds of
What are the
our
odds of
eyeballs
God
being
existing?
perfectly
Oh yeah,
precise?
0.
What are the odds of us having 10 fingers and 10 toes perfectly? Yes, there are deformities that people are born with, but that's because of the fall of man and the fallen world. What are the odds of this
Okay,
happening out
so
of nothing, though,
all
Mike?
right, you're going
You're
way
a
off
smart
tangent.
guy.
So what you're saying is that some lady ate an apple 6,000 years ago, and now we all have deformed fingers.
It's the result of evil coming into this world and fallen
What was the
sin.
evil
There's
that came? What was
people with
what was the
depression.
first
There's
evil
people
that
with
came into the
addiction.
world? The apple.
What's that?
What was the first evil that came into the world? The apple.
When Eve defied God.
She ate the apple.
Yes, she defied God.
Terrible.
Going
That was
against God is
disgusting.
what brought evil and
She
disgust.
should have
into
never
the
ate that
world.
apple.
But
Shame.
Mike, hold on. Think about this. Think about this.
She ate that apple, and now we all have deformed fingers.
No, I'm really not joking. I want a legit logical conversation with you.
It seems like you're joking, sir. It really does.
No, listen. What are the odds of this world coming out of nothing? It just blows my mind. It's blasphemy. It's preposterous. I'm
What are the odds
flabbergasted.
that God pooped us into existence from nothing? What are the odds of that? That in
More
6
likely
days,
than
all
this
this
happening out of nothing. Probably
What,
more
what are
likely.
the odds that in 6 days a magical anthropomorphical being made us from clay and designed the earth before designed the sun, designed plants before the sun, and designed Noah's Ark, and then penguins had to jump from Mount Ararat to the fucking Antarctica? How did they get there? How did the kangaroos get to Australia?
Did you know that gravity is perfectly aligned? Did you know that we're perfectly aligned and symmetrical on the axis? That if the Earth moved any left, we'd freeze to death, or move any to the right closer to the sun, we'd burn
Oh,
to death.
really?
What are the
Okay,
odds
so
of that, Mike?
how much further will we have to be to the sun to burn?
How much further would the Earth have to be off the axis?
Yeah.
An inch. We're that close.
An
We're that
inch?
precisely on the axis.
Really? So you're
Can you
just
give me
you're
any
telling me
evidence
that in the
that
section you
that's
just
otherwise?
we were to burn 1,000 times. Because guess what, buddy? The Earth moves millions of miles every year. Its axis changes all the fucking time. Every second, the axis is tilting by a tiny bit. The Earth wobbles on its axis. It's called precession.
How do you explain all the miracles that happen in life? How do you explain that? You think it's just dumb luck, coincidence?
Give us
Come
your
on,
best.
Mike.
Give us
dude,
your
think-
best miracle.
Come on, dude. Huh?
Give us your best miracle.
Yeah, I'll give you a miracle that actually happened in my state not too long ago. There was a bad tornado, massive tornado. It was hundreds of people died. It was Cookeville, Tennessee. They found a baby literally on a tree limb, unharmed. You really think that's possible? Come on.
So you're
That's a miracle, man.
you got killed hundreds of people to save a baby. That's
that
a miracle.
baby has
to
a whole
you?
life ahead of him. There's
That's
a
a
time and place
miracle
for
to you?
everybody, man. Dude, come on, Mike.
I'm sorry.
Be respectful,
I'm
dude.
sorry.
I've been
I'm
respectful
sorry,
to you.
sir.
I'm not
I'm
trying
sorry.
to. I'm not trying to be mean to
Look.
you because I even complimented you. Saying,
Okay. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, but I'm not trying to be rude here or mean, but it's just peculiar to me that he believes in a God. He believes a miracle is such that God would kill hundreds of people to save a baby, right? That doesn't seem like that seems like if an all-powerful God existed, it wouldn't kill people to save a baby. It would just save the baby and the people. It's all powerful, right? It seems to me that there's something wrong with that notion of God. That's why I don't believe it. But anyway, guys, appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the YouTube, link in bio. I post all my debates. I post everything there. I took some time off from debating, as you guys probably know, and it helped me a lot. being off of TikTok helped me tremendously. I suggest you all do that. Take a break from TikTok and things, because social media can harm your brain. We're being bombarded by so much information. It's time you got to take a break and take a deep breath and get back on track. Also, learn to be patient and understanding. And that's something that I learned to be more of. We need more patience. We need more of that in this world. And not to just automatically dismiss people for their beliefs, but just ask them questions that they can't answer, questions that make them stumble and go, well, what do you mean? Right? That is good. It's good to ask questions. It's good to be curious about this mysterious world. You know, life is amazing because it's mysterious and it's unknown. That mystery keeps us going, keeps us asking questions. It keeps us curious and inquisitive. And that's what drives me in my life as an atheist. Because life is amazing. Life is amazing because it's natural, because we're here by chance, because it seems to be that there's no reason or rhyme. We're here. We just are. Able to do things we are doing, able to have friends and family, and compassion and love and talks. And that's something that the fact that it's just here by chance makes it all that more exciting and incredible. That we're conscious and alive, that the particles that make us up can come together in such a way that gives rise to consciousness and life. That's amazing. And that's something that utterly moves me. You know, and it changes the way you see things. When you recognize what we are, because many theists want to shun that away. We're not matter in motion. That's impossible. But what if we are? What if we are matter in motion? What if that's all we are? It might be scary to you at face value, but if you think about it, that makes it changes the way you see things. When you recognize that that's a possibility, when you can see that it's possible, that we are matter in motion, that the universe does not care about us, and we're not the center of it, and that there's an entire universe waiting to be discovered. Think of how much there is to be known and be learned. How much mystery there is, and how many things will end up defying our intuitions about it. And that's amazing. That's humbling. It's humbling. It's humbling to see your place in the universe. People are afraid to be small. We want to be big. We want to be the center of the universe, but we are scared of being the corner of it, right? We're scared of being insignificant. We want to be significant. We want to be the main characters of the story. But part of being humble and part of being peaceful, being at peace with this, is to concede that we are not the center, that there is no reason necessarily as to why we exist. We just are. And the universe is waiting for us to be discovered, waiting for us to discover it. The universe is too perfect for us to be, for there to be no God. Well, what do you mean by perfect, right? Like, when you say the universe is perfect, what does that mean? In what way is it perfect? What do you mean by that, right? Perfection is a subjective word inherently. It's not if I said I had to, like, for example, if I told you that I had the perfect pizza yesterday, do you know what that means? No. You don't know what it means to be perfect. It depends on the context, depends on the situation, it depends on what the person is talking about. Perfection is not a real thing. It's a subjective thing. But we all want answers, right? We're all lost in this world, and we don't know the answers. We're all looking for answers. But the worst thing to do is to pretend you have the answer, right? The best thing to do is to concede you don't have it, and be open to wherever the answer is. And I am. We're trying to be open as best as I can. Some people aren't, because they're scared of being small and insignificant. They're scared of being not the center. But if you just concede that we're not the center, it changes the way you see the world. It changes the way you see people, right? People are scared, theists are scared to be called apes. We're not apes, we're humans. Well, when you shun away the fact that we're animals, look at what you're doing. You're shunning away who we are. You're scared of being another animal. And that tells me that there's this disgust for who you are. Why? Why not embrace the fact that we're animals? Why not embrace the connection we have with the universe around us, with the animal life around us? Why not embrace the fact that we are merely apes on a insignificant rock? Why not recognize that? Why must you impose your ego onto the universe? Why must you impose your imagined self-importance? Why? Why not just concede that we are just another speck? And if you're looking for purpose, instead of waiting for purpose to get to you, or instead of thinking that we have purpose just because we're human, why not do something meaningful? Why not do something purposeful in the first place? Why are you waiting for it to get to you? Why not do something purposeful? Why not impact somebody's life? Why not do something good and beneficial? Why are you waiting for it to get to you? So that's all I can tell you. You know, we're all in different parts, and we're all in different levels of questioning things. But if you really want the answers, you can't just assume you have them. You have to recognize that the universe is largely mysterious, largely counterintuitive, you know, and that all we got's each other. No matter if there's a God or not, no matter the answer, no matter what the ultimate answer of reality is, all we have at the end of the day is each other in this life. That's all we got. That's all we got. No matter if there's a God or not, or whatever it is, whatever the ultimate meaning of reality is, that's all we got. So stop fighting. Let's embrace each other. Let's embrace our differences. Let's love each other. Let's be compassionate. Let's be patient. Let's stop being harmful. Let's stop, right? There's no point in doing that, because I'll never be here again. You can travel a billion light years. You'll never find another person like us. You'll never find another family like yours. You'll never find another place like this again. So treat it nicely.